Excuse me, stream, you need to start in. Yes, good. Very good. And I broke the game because I'm just that good. Top Moon. Please enjoy the game within the confines of the law. February 10th. Dragon slaying. Altria. That's the name she was given when she was celebrated her coming of age. It is wartime. It began with the collapse of an empire. An empire that had been meant to be eternal was slowly waiting to die amid invasions from all sides. In preparation for many years, the empire derived an island nation of its military. And that's how it began. Having lost the empire's protection, her nation had no choice but to become independent. And over time, it broke up into smaller nations. The invasions came again and again. Internal conflicts between clans spiraled out of control. Then came a long period of war, which would later become known as the Dark Ages. It is during this difficult time that she was born, heir to the throne. A long, tumultuous period of war. The king believed in a mage's prophecy and so eagerly awaited the birth of his worthy successor. But the child born to him was not the child he desired. His child wasn't male. Fated king or not, the child could not assume the throne unless they were a boy. So the girl was entrusted to the king's retainer and was raised as a knight. The king was saddened, but the mage delighted. One's sex has nothing to do with one's worthiness to become king. More than that, the mage was convinced that the girl's absence from the castle until the day of the prophecy was proof that she was the true king. So she grew up under the care of a simple and wise old knight and his adopted child and successor. The old knight did not believe in the mage's prophecy. He simply raised her to be a knight and hoped for her to continue growing, because he felt something from her that reminded him very much of his own lord. But even without the knight's encouragement or intervention, the girl trained every day to become stronger than anyone else. If an ailing country headed toward its own demise can only be saved by a king, the girl had sworn to wield her sword for that reason, and that reason alone, without anyone ever needing to tell her to do so. And then the prophesied day arrived. Knights and lords from around the nation gathered in hopes of being chosen to be king. If this was to be a contest to determine the best possible king, all assumed the selection would be made in a mounted joust. Instead, all that waited at the site of selection was a naked blade thrust in a stone. On the hilt of the sword, a glittering golden inscription read, "Whosoever pulleth this sword from the stone is the rightful king of England." Many knights took their turn trying to draw the sword from the stone. But none were able to draw the sword from the stone, so the knights decided to compete in a joust, as they had originally expected on driving. The girl was not yet a knight, and so could not participate in the joust. She approached the stone of selection, which sat largely abandoned, its appeal having long since faded, and reached for the sword's hilt. She did not hesitate. She turned around, and before her stood the most feared mage in the nation. He gave his warning. When she takes a hold of that sword, she will cease to be human. She responded only with a nod. To be king is to no longer be human. She has been resolved to this from the moment she was born. To be king is to kill more than anyone, in protection of everyone. The young girl thought of this every night, and lay in bed shivering at the implications until morning. Not a day went by that she was not afraid. But in that moment, she pledged that her days of fear were at an end. She drew the sword effortlessly from the stone, and bright light engulfed the whole of the site of selection. And in that instant, she ceased to be human. A king's sex does not matter. So long as they carry out the function of a king, none would care about the king's appearance, or even bother to pay attention to such a thing. And even if someone noticed the king was a woman, it would not matter, so long as she was a good king. The sword's magical energy must have halted her growth. While many knights found it eerie and feared her, most saw their lord's immortality as a divine gift. And so, the legendary celebrated age of the king began. The new king in battle was seen as something of a god of war. The king always led from the front. No enemies could stand in her way. Altria, the god of battle. Hailed as a dragon incarnate, she knew no defeat. In 10 years, she fought 12 battles and never lost once. In those days, her chief duty as king was on the battlefield. Not once did she turn back. Not once was she disgraced. She was raised to kingship and fulfilled her obligations without hesitation. Maybe that's why I had a vision of her. Her soul must still be on the battlefield. It's not yet dawn. She stands under the indigo sky and lets the wind whip at her as she stares off into the distance. The sky is high and clouds slide by overhead. Out in the clear air, sword in hand, she gazes at this great army she's about to confront. That image of her won't leave me. It's burned into my mind now. She and her sword are one. The sword from the stone which chose the king. The brilliance of the sword that determined her fate is also her brilliance. But I tilt my head in wonder at this dream. That sword. Isn't the one she holds. It's similar but different. The sword she holds now isn't the one she used last night. But if that's the case, what happened to that incredible sword? When I wake from my dream, I find myself in my own room. It's bright outside. I must have come back to my room last night, unable to make a decision, then fallen asleep while I was watching over Saber. That was a dream? It was a strange dream. What I saw, I had no way of knowing any of that. And that wasn't the Saber I know. Is it even possible for me to dream of such a thing? But that sword was definitely different from the one Saber had. I racked my brain. Saber's identity has been unclear. And honestly, I still can't get my head around who she really is. Saber is Saber. I can't change the way I act around her, and I don't think Saber would want that in any case. But she looked incredible. She looked really cool with that sword last night. But she looked good with the sword in my dreams, too. It'd be fair to say I was in awe. The sword last night and the sword from my dreams seemed to have left one hell of an impression on me. I guess I've got a thing for swords. I thought Lancer's spear was beautiful when I saw it too, but my passion for swords is on a whole nother level. It would appear I have a thing for swords. You already said that. Why are you saying it again? Yeah, I was worried about that. I think it autosaves, but even if it doesn't, I'll just skip to it. It's fine. It's going to move right along. We already read this, so this is fine.
いやいや、それを手に取る前にきちんと考えた方がいい。
I need to go back. It would appear I have a thing for swords. Well, that's not really anything new. I draw in a deep breath and I reach up, finding my forehead dripping with sweat. There we go. It sure is hot in here. I wipe the sweat from my forehead. It's winter, but my body feels flushed. I don't know why, but it feels like my blood's getting hotter, and it's unsettling. I wonder why. Ever since I saw Saber's sword, my whole body's been getting hot for some reason. My left hand, the one with my command spells, feels like it's holding a hand warmer. It's the same sensation when I felt when Tasaka made me swallow the jewel, like there's something stirring in me or making me want to run. I take a deep breath, trying to calm myself. Saber's probably still asleep. She still hasn't woken up. But it looks like she's stabilizing. Her breathing is even, and that pained look she had last night is smoothed over. Saber is sleeping peacefully. It's morning like any other. Maybe if I let her sleep, Saber will recover. That way I won't have to make her kill anyone. Then she could stay with me, just like she has been. How could I be so selfish? I slam my fist into the wall. My own weakness nauseates me. It's my fault Saber turned out this way. What the hell am I going to do? I stand up without another sound. I don't know when Saber's going to wake up, but I have to make a decision before she does. Tasaka's not up yet. The house is completely dead. The corridor feels deserted. No, it only feels like that because I'm so down. I can't decide what to do, and so the whole world feels hazy, and I'm just wandering in that grayness. Huh? I hear something cutting through the air. There it is again. It's coming from the yard, but that's... I know that sound. Well, I don't feel like making breakfast, so I'll go take a walk and check it out. It's colder than usual. Must be really cold for me to feel it, feverish as I am. It looks like it might even snow. It's coming from the shed. The sound of something slicing through the air reaches me at irregular intervals. As I cross the yard, my breath mists the air. I find him in front of the shed. Given how unsurprised I am to find him, I guess I figured he'd be here. He must have been shooting his arrows. The moment Archer sees me, he lowers his bow in displeasure. It's dangerous. Don't shoot arrows in my house. What were you going to do if you wouldn't hit something? He doesn't have to tell me that. So the sound was just his bow itself. For some reason, Archer was just plucking his bowstring, not firing arrows. That's a good-looking bow. Didn't want to say as much earlier, but I guess you're a bona fide archer. His lips curl snidely. I still can't stand this guy. I never thought to ask you about archery in the first place. I was just wondering what you were doing. I see. So his wounds have healed. That means Tasaka will get back into the fight. I turn on my heel. If Tasaka and Archer are going to rejoin the battle, I need to make a decision too. I need to go somewhere I can think alone. Huh? It literally means... Well, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. That is quite the name. But anyway... It literally means lingering hard. It's a concept dealing with the time you have after making your move. What? I didn't ask for a lecture on the 8 stages of shooting. Yes, there are 8 movements in Kyudo called Shaho Hatsetsu, which are the 8 principles of shooting. The final step, Zanshin, is what follows after releasing your arrow. Yeah, what about it? Yeah.
放つ前にすでに的中しているものだ。射手は自らのイメージ通りに指を離す。ならば当たるか当たらぬかなど確認する必要はない。射の前に当たらぬと思えば当たらぬし、当たると思えば当たっているのだから。
Again, the concept in theory is correct, but that's not necessarily true. Like, you could just have a wild shot, and even if you believe it hit something, it doesn't mean it's going to hit. That's absurd. No matter how much you think a shot will hit, some shots won't. If all they had to do was think it will hit, everyone would hit every shot every time.
前は百発百中だろ。
What? He catches me off guard there. I mean, he's right, but...
まあ、そんな話はどうでもいい。言いたいことは一つだけだ。斬新とは矢が当たるかどうかを見極めるものではない。放った矢がどのような結果になるかなど分かりきったことだからな。ならば斬新とはその結果を受け入れるための心構えではなかったか。
Basically understanding it was your fault if the shot misses anyway. I know that. You're telling me I need to follow through to the very end.
そういうことだ。セイバーのことは聞いた。彼女がこのような状態になるのは初めから分かっていたことだろう。魔力の提供もなしで戦っていればいつかは消える。それはもう決まっていたことだ。ならば
All that's left is to accept the result. He's telling me that no matter what I decide, no matter what it does to Saber, all I can do is see it through. I turn my back to Archer. This time, I'm going to be the one to leave Archer hanging.
ああ、それともう一つ気がついていないようだから教えておこう。
His voice comes from behind me.
セイバーはな、宝具を使えば自分が消えると分かっていたはずだ。彼女はおそらく最後まで宝具を使う気はなかったのだろう。
This time I hear nothing of his usual sarcasm.
にもかかわらず宝具を使った理由は一つ。セイバーは自身が消えることよりお前を守ることを選んだんだ。それを決して忘れるな。
For once, his voice is completely sincere. He's only telling the truth here. The park is empty as usual. Maybe because it's chillier than usual. There's hardly anyone out. Looks like I'm the only one walking around right now. I slump down on a bench. Well, I came here to be alone. Now I'm here, I should think of what to do next. Can't put my decision off any longer. If I want to defeat the other masters and end this Holy Grail war, I need Saber. That's not what this is about, though. I just don't want to lose Saber. But that means I'd have to have Saber attack people like Ryder did. I can't let her do that. Giving Saber that order is as good as telling her to die. Besides, I think she'd just refuse outright. But when my head slumps down, I see my left hand. I have 2 command spells left. If I use one, I can force Saber to obey me even if she refuses. I bite my lip and shake the thought off. It's ridiculous. Time slips by me as I sit on the bench. I have no idea how long I remain sitting there. But just as my fingers start to tremble from the cold, she came out early. I look up, hearing a voice calling to me. Illya, did you come all the way here by yourself again? It's not safe. You never know where masters are lurking. I'm about to warn her about that other masters might be lurking nearby, waiting to attack. I catch myself realizing how stupid that would be. Ilya's a master. I shouldn't be worried about her. We're enemies. Sorry, I don't really have time to talk right now. I know we bumped into each other, but I can't talk today. It's going to be really cold, so you should head home. I don't get up from the bench as I dismiss Illya. There are plenty of things I'd like to talk to her about, but I can't think of anything other than Saber right now. What's going on? Illya doesn't say anything. She's looking at me as if I'm a stranger. Illya? Sorry, I don't mean to be harsh. I've just got a lot on my mind right now.
知ってるわ。セイバーが消えかけてるんでしょ。それでシローはどうしようかって考えてるのよね。
And how do you know that? Just out of nowhere, Ilya's voice has gotten so cold and detached. Illya?
そんなことで悩むなんてバカみたい。シローがそんなだからライダーのマスターにも逃げられたのよ。負けたやつなんて殺しちゃえばいいだけなのに。
I move my feet. Something tells me this isn't the time to be sitting, so I shift my weight forward to get up. But my body doesn't move, as if I'm entranced by Illya. Illya, how do you know about that?
言うまでもないでしょ。昨日の夜ね、私もあのビルにいただけよ。もっとも、さすがにビルの中で様子を見てるしかなかったけど。
I try to make my hands and feet move, but nothing happens. No, it feels like the more I try to move, the stiffer they get. It's those eyes. Whenever I see Ilya's red eyes, my senses go dull.
あ、もう金縛りになったんだ。シロったら守りも何もないんだもの。一人でいれば簡単に捕まえられるって思ったけど、こんなに簡単に行くなんて可愛いな。
Illya, you...
無駄だよお兄ちゃん。そうなったらもう動けないわ。もうじき声も出なくなるけど心配しなくていいよ。私もね、今日はお話をしに来たわけじゃないもの。
Ilya's eyes blaze with murderous intent. This is Illya as I saw her the other night. Berserker's master. Do you plan to kill me right here? I grit my teeth and gather all my strength. But my fingers won't so much as budge. It's like Ilya's stare has frozen every nerve in my body.
うん。だってもうマスターでいてもしょうがないでしょ。セイバーが消えたらシローは一人きりだもの。いつまでもマスターにさせてられないわ。戦う手段がなくなったシローなんて簡単に殺せるんだから。
Illya raises her hand. Her slender white fingers reach for my chest.
他の人に殺される前に見つけられてよかった。それじゃあおやすみなさいお兄ちゃん。どうせセイバーも消えるんだから早い方がすっきりするでしょ。
My vision fades. My limbs have gone completely numb, and now I can't see either. How long have I been stuck in this darkness? Before I can figure out whether I'm alive or dead, I lose consciousness. My body is burning. Even if my consciousness has fallen to darkness, the burning in my body tells me I'm still alive. Yes, that must mean I'm still alive. Even so, it may only be temporary. Ilya even said it.
戦う手段のないシローなんて簡単に殺せるんだから。
She's absolutely right. Without Saber, I can't fight a proper battle. A Holy Grail war is a battle between servants. And there's no way I can go up against servants. That's been proved more than enough by now. Each time I got absolutely thrashed. Like Saber said, all I can do against servants is try to survive for as long as possible. I couldn't even do that. I was cut to pieces and even thrown out of a third-story window. It's only this weird, inexplicable thing going on with my body that's kept me alive. It's so frustrating. It makes me so angry. In the face of an unbeatable opponent, I couldn't stop the catastrophe in front of me on my own. Even though I decided to fight. I said I was going to fight as a master and vowed not to hurt anyone, but I couldn't even keep those promises. I'm pissed off. The champions of justice I strived to emulate when I was young always had to win, or there would be no point. My body is burning. Every inch of me trembles with the need to win. But I have neither the means to win or even a way to fight. What good am I? I can't even fight alongside Saber without bringing her down.
それも間違いだ。エミやシロは格闘には向かない。お前の戦いは精神の戦い。己との戦いであるべきだからだ。
Suddenly, I remember Archer saying that.
戦いになればエミやシロに勝ち目などない。お前のスキルでは何をやってもサーバントには通じない。
I know that. I've certainly been reminded more than enough.
ならばせめてイメージしろ。現実で叶わない相手なら想像の中で勝て。自身が勝てないのなら勝てるものを幻想しろ。
You don't have to remind me. I can only win my own head. But what can I imagine that would ever help me win? I can't imagine beating a servant. I don't have such a wild imagination as to fool myself. Any fantasy I come up with will be full of loose threads that'll come unraveled. My third-rate imagination hasn't got a prayer against these incredible servants. That's why. Who do I win against? How do I win? I'm still searching for that answer. Am I really searching for it? That golden sword. It's meant only for her. I don't want it for myself. It's so beautiful. Just once, I'd like to hold it in my hands if I can. I guess this is a bad habit I picked up as an untrained mage. Since all I can do is look within myself, I tend to dream about stuff I shouldn't. I should at least be allowed to dream. First, I imagine the thing's basic structure, then reproduce it. Guess there's not point in strengthening here. If strengthening is an act of applying something to an existing object, there's not much point in doing that to something that doesn't even exist. That means I need to work harder if I'm going to remember that sword. This is well before the basics. This is from before Kiritsugu taught me strengthening, a magecraft process I thought up on my own, and packed with trivial steps. Let's see, how did I do it? How did I give it form? When I come to, I have no idea where I am. Where am I? The place isn't just unfamiliar. There's a luxurious canopy bed and a plush carpet that's ankle deep. There's even a stone fireplace, and it's clearly not just a decoration. What I initially take for wallpaper, I realize on inspection is actually patterns engraved on the wall. I've gotten used to fancy decorations like the ones in Shinji's mansion, but this is something else entirely. It's a little embarrassing to say this out loud, but this place is like a castle from a fairy tale. My vision blurs. My body is strangely heavy. Maybe I'm having circulation problems or something. I feel like I might fall back to sleep if I relax even a little. What the hell happened? I try to get my clouded mind working. Oh right, Illya paralyzed me and I passed out. So Ilya's captured me. There's nobody in the room. My body feels heavy, but not so bad that I can't even lift a finger like before. If I really work at it, I might be able to lift an arm. I'm tied up! My drowsy mind suddenly jolts to full alertness. I realize I'm in danger, and so study my surroundings carefully. I'm in a chair. My hands are bound behind my back. I'm handcuffed. No, my wrists are just tied with rope. It's not as bad as I imagined, but I still can't move. My whole body is weirdly tingly, and I can't get up with my arms tied behind me. I wonder how long I've been here. Is there no clock here. There's nothing in here to tell me what time it is. A window. There's a window behind me. I try to turn and get a look, but the curtains are closed, so I can't see outside. All I can say for sure is that the sun's set. I ran into Ilya this morning, so it's been at least half a day. I don't have time for this. I have no idea where I am, but I need to get back to Saber as fast as I can. Saber's in a weakened state. I can't be even more of a burden to her than by letting something like this happen. I try to make my arms move. If I'm going to escape, I have to do something about these ropes around my wrists. The door opens. I go still just as Ilya enters the room. Ilya's not acting at all like she had earlier. The coldness in her eyes is gone, and she's back to acting like a cheerful girl she'd been at the park the other day. Ilya peers into my face, looking puzzled. She seems genuinely concerned for me. I'm fine, I can talk, and my mind's clear enough to understand what I've been captured. I don't know if that's good or bad, but at least I understand what's going on a little better. I'm getting a clearer picture of what happened. I've been captured and this is where you live. I speak flatly, trying to kill my emotions. Until I understand completely what's happening here, I just need to listen. I see. Okay, but why did you do this? If you were going to kill me, you could have done it at the park. I find myself recoiling. Ilya pushes her face closer to me, ignoring my agitation. Ilya, what are you... I know it's inappropriate, but the way Ilya sits on my lap has my heart racing. Honestly, it is inappropriate. Stop that. She may not be heavy, but the way she's sitting on my lap has me thinking kind of graphic thoughts. You need to stop, man. You need to quit. Ilya's words are so pure and heartfelt. I know that if I nod even once, it'll be a choice I can't unmake, and I will absolutely come to regret it. On the other hand, if I refuse, that purity will turn into pure wickedness. With Ilya leaning so close, my mind grinds to a shrieking halt. She's not saying this just because she likes me. This is more like an interrogation, a matter of whether I live or die. No, Saber hasn't disappeared yet, and I'm not going to let that happen. Ilya presses close against me. I'm not sure what'll happen if I refuse, but I still can't agree. I can't. Step away, Ilya. No matter what you say, Ilya presses her index finger to my lips. She giggles in amusement and watches me in my bewilderment.
もう分かってないんだから。いい？今のシロはカゴの中の小鳥なのよ。生かすも殺すも私の自由なんだから、あんまり私を怒らせるようなことは言っちゃダメ。
Oh no, we're fully aware of that.
10年も待ったんだもの。ここでシロを簡単に殺しちゃうなんて、そんなのつまらないでしょ。
What? Illya talks like she's asking for a toy. The sheer cold-heartedness in her voice sends a shiver down my spine.
これで最後だよ、お兄ちゃん。もう一度だけ聞いてあげる。
Illya's eyes shine with hope.
シロ、私のものになりなさい。
Ilya's tone is bewitching and brooks no refusal. And the answer is no. I don't even need to think about it. And shit, even I only have so much patience. Every single one of them is sure Saber's going to disappear. Saber won't disappear. I'm going to fight with her until the end. I can't let this destroy the oath we made. Illya, I can't do what you're asking me to. I have Saber. As long as Saber's around, I'm going to keep on fighting as a master. A soft gasp. For a second, her red eyes snapped open as if she'd gone into a rigor mortis.
そう。あなたまで私を裏切るのね、シロ。
There was no betrayal. You tied me up! Illya backs away. She looks down but maintains her composure.
いいわ。シロが私の言うことを聞かないなら、私もシロの言うことなんて聞かない。今まで見逃してあげたけど、それもこれでおしまいなんだから。
Illya's voice is dripping with hostility now. There's something terrible lurking behind that malice.
待っていなさい。すぐに用を済ませてくるから。
Wait, what are you going to do, Illya?
何って、セイバーとリンを殺しに行くの。二人を殺してくれば、シロも少しは後悔するでしょ。
What? Don't be ridiculous. Saber and Tasaka have nothing to do with this. I'm only saying I can't be with you for my own reasons.
そうなの？けど、二人は殺すわ。それが終わったら、次はシロの番よ。私のものにならないのなら、シロなんていらないもの。
I hear Ilya's footsteps moving off. Ilya's serious. She really means to go kill Saber and Tasaka. Stop, Illya. Saber and Tasaka have nothing to do with this. I'm the one you captured, so if you're going to hate someone, just hate me. You don't need to kill them.
理由はあるわ。私以外のマスターは生かしておけないもの。それが聖杯戦争でしょ。
No, not completely. You dummy, don't talk about killing people like it's so easy. You shouldn't ever do that. You're a kid. You shouldn't even be thinking about this kind of thing. Illya stares at me in disbelief.
残念ね。私はもうマスターを殺してるんだよ、お兄ちゃん。
She sounds so joyful as she says it.
もっとも、それは昨日の話だけど、予想外といえば予想外だったかな。私、あいつはお兄ちゃんが手を下すって思ってたのに。
So Shinji's dead. Okay. What? In that instant, I surprisingly understand exactly what she's talking about. Illya was in the building last night, which means she must have seen the master running for his life as the perfect prey. Illya, you didn't.
ごめんね。シロがやらないから私がやっちゃった。本当は横取りって好きじゃないんだけど。
She doesn't sound guilty at all. It probably meant nothing to her. It makes me realize something. I've probably known this since the moment we first met. She really doesn't know the difference between good and evil. That innocent laugh is just as much Illya as the merciless laugh I hear now. It's not that Illya has a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. Illya, however angelic she may look, is a devil.
それじゃあ行ってくるわ。帰ってきたらシローの番なんだから、せいぜい逃げ出す努力でもしていなさい。
She's actually asking me to escape.
もっともカゴから逃げ出せないから小鳥は小鳥なの。お兄ちゃんじゃこの鳥カゴからは出られないでしょうけど。
Illya leaves. She's absolutely right, of course. She knows nothing of threats or tactics, so she just says what's true. But I can't stay here forever. I need to escape and meet up with Saber before Illya can attack. Ugh. I shake myself, trying to loosen the ropes around my wrists. Maybe she really doesn't think I can escape. There's no one else here. If I'm not being watched, even I can manage to get out of some ropes, but... Damn, I still can't. My body just won't listen to me. My limbs move, but they're heavy as lead, and just trying to move at all is exhausting. Illya knew I couldn't escape because of this. I can't move like this. Even if I get out of the rope, I won't be able to escape from the room if I can hardly move. My whole body feels heavy. Not because I'm tired. Yeah, I haven't been able to move since I looked into Ilya's eyes. They must be mystic eyes. I hear truly superior mages can perform some kind of magecraft just making their eyes contact with the target. Restraint is a common effect of mystic eyes, so that's probably what's going on here. Eyes are how we take in visual information, so are susceptible to suggestion and spells. And that's why most mages employ some sort of protection on their eyes to block out other mages' magecraft. Tosaka would be so mad if she found out all it took to paralyze me was just a suggestion, not even a spell. Well, at least that was from mystic eyes learned through magecraft. Some monsters are born with mystic eyes and don't even need to lock eyes with their target. I hear all they need to do is look to use whatever ability they have, but it's also extremely rare for people to have powers like that. And, luckily, Ilya's mystic eyes aren't a unique or special. They're just a means of sending magical energy at the target. And that means there has to be a way to dispel the effect. Ilya's magical energy is invading my nerves, preventing me from moving. If I can get rid of that magical energy, that should fix my paralysis. It's simple. If there's a buildup of mud, then all I have to do is flush it to clean it out. I close my eyes and focus inward on my own body. I may not have the skill to detect or remove foreign magical energy that invaded my body, but I don't need anything like that, so long as I'm dealing with magical energy that hasn't become a curse and taken root in my body. If Ilya's magical energy is lingering, stagnant in my body, I just need a strong flow of magical energy through my body to flush it out. Sorry, it's crude, but that's all I can do. I apologize to my body for what I'm about to put it through. All I have to do is focus on my daily routine. The ritual where I force a foreign nerve down my spine. No, not anymore. I don't need to build it from scratch anymore. Now all I have to do is flip the switch in my head. Instead of creating a magical circuit in my body, I just have to switch my nerves into a magic circuit. Trace. On. I remember the spell to focus myself. You don't use spells to change the world around you. They're to be used on yourself to empower you to change the world. For mages, they're a way to initiate a kind of self-transformation. Spells are the first, most basic magecraft used to create a mystic just for you. A command that will only work on you. Basic structure. Analysis. My blood flow accelerates. Power builds in my blood. My body's becoming a machine for circulating magical energy. Probably thanks to the gem Tosaka made me swallow. Normally, this would take me at least an hour. Now I'm able to do it almost instantly. Composition analysis. I don't need to flip the switch at this rate. I can just let magical energy circulate and let my hands go. Actually, I say flip the switch, but I still haven't found the switch to begin with. Heat rushes into me. I try to get control over my pounding heart. My hands slip from the bucking reins. Yeah. Blood spurts from my mouth. I must have opened a vein or tore something inside myself. I channeled enough magical energy to flush out the mud that invaded me, so it's no wonder I'm throwing up blood. Luckily, I don't feel any pain. Maybe I'm not in pain because of that self-healing thing I have. It's an abnormality in my body that I still don't understand, but I'm delighted to have it at a time like this. The ability to heal any non-fatal wound is my biggest and only strength right now. I do need to be careful not to rely on it too much, though. Since I still have no idea how it works, relying on it too much risks losing it all. So I can't rely on miracles I don't understand. Okay, now there's just a rope. I undo the rope. My wrists were bruised, but I wasn't bound tightly enough to cut off circulation. I don't think Illya tied me up, but I wasn't bound very tightly. Besides, I doubt it was Illya who carried me in here anyway. Who here, other than Illya, might not be that strong? It definitely wasn't Berserker. If he tied me up, he'd have snapped my hands right off. I rise to my feet and try to crack a joke. Ouch. I can control my body, but I pushed it too far. While I may not be injured, magical energy is raging through my body. Just moving around is likely to tear my insides up. It's probably the pain. Dizziness and nausea rack my entire body. I have no feeling at the ends of my arms and legs. I'm not going to get home before Illya gets back. Not like this. I'm not being such a coward. I don't have time for that kind of thinking. I slap my cheeks and start walking. What? As soon as I lean against the wall and start toward the door, I hear something on the other side of the wall. Footsteps. More than one set of footsteps. People are approaching my door and talking. They stop right in front of my door. Someone's on patrol? Damn. And at the worst possible moment. There's no time to hide. I need to. I actually don't know what I need to do here. Like, this is true. Fighting is a bad idea. And hiding under the bed would just let them know that I escaped, and they're going to look. So I'm going to pretend that I'm tied up. That's my first thought. Ugh. There's no time for me to hesitate. I can't possibly fight like this, so I need to be careful until I've recovered. There. I put my wrists together to make it look like I'm tied up. Gah. The door opens. Could it be Illya or someone else from the castle? I just need to remain sitting here, looking like I'm bound up. Right up to the very last moment when the person comes into the room and... My eyes widen. For a moment, I genuinely think I'm just hallucinating out of sheer desperate hope. Oh, the ropes are loose. I bring my hands out in front. Well, I kind of got free, and then I heard someone coming as I was trying to get away, so I pretended to still be tied up. Correct. Saber looks impressed. I'm not going to tell her that I hadn't managed to think any farther than that. By the way, you're Saber, right? You're not some illusion. You're the real Saber. I stand up and touch Saber. Yep, you're real, but how did you get here? Hmm? Well, but how did you know I got captured? Or actually, why are you here, Saber? This is Illya's hideout. You shouldn't be coming anywhere near here right now. Ugh.
それは私のセリフです。あなたこそ何をやっていたのですか？
I got captured.
一人で行動するなどあれほど言っていたのに、やすやすとイリアスピールに拉致され、このような場所に監禁されるなんて。シロはマスター失格です。この件については何らかの謝罪をしてもらわなければ気が済みません。
I know I was careless, but seriously, why are you here? You can barely move, so what were you thinking coming to Illya's stronghold in this state?
あなたこそ何を考えているのです。サーバントはマスターを守るもの。シロが囚われたのですから、イリアスピールの本拠地だろうと関係はありません。
Saber is blunt as ever. She's exactly as she's always been. This isn't the weak, slumbering Saber from last night.
シロ、どうしたのです？急に黙り込んで。やはり捕まっている間に傷を負ったのですか
？No, that's not it. Don't worry about me. I'm just glad to see you doing better. I'm genuinely relieved. I'm surprised to see Saber here, but I'm much happier to see that she's herself. I know it's selfish of me to think this way, but I think this is how Saber should be. I'm sorry, Saber. I don't fully understand, but you came to rescue me, right?
はい。サーバントとしてマスターを救うのは当然ですから。
Thanks. I'm really glad you came. What a relief. Everything sorted itself out. Now I just need to get out of here with Saber. Wait a minute. Is that Tasaka? Tasaka? Are you real or... And are you really right here?
思ったより元気そうじゃない。これじゃあ私たちが出向く必要もなかったかしら。
だからそう言っただろう、リム。エミやシロなど放っておけと。この手の男はな、周りに迷惑をかけるだけかけて自分だけは生き延びるのだ。今回のはいい機会だった。見捨てておけば勝手に死んでくれたものを。
聞き捨てなりません、アーチャー。助力を頼んだのは私ですが、あなたにシロを侮辱する権利などないはずです。
いざ主が助かればそれか。マスターもマスターならサーバントもサーバントだ。協力者に対するありがたみなどないようだな。まあいずれ戦う身だ。情など持たれない方がやりやすくはあるが。
He must have hit a nerve with Saber grows silent. This guy. He's not just as unfriendly to me, he treats Saber the same way.
そこまでよ。今がどんな状況なのか忘れてるわけじゃないでしょうね、あーちゃん。おしゃべりなんてしてる暇はないわ。イリアスフィールが戻ってくる前に撤退しないと。
Huh? Wait a minute. You came here knowing this is where Illya lives? And actually, Illya left saying she was going to kill Tasaka and Saber. That means Illya and Tasaka passed each other. That's a relief. I think Illya's heading to my place right now. If you guys hadn't come here, you would have had to fight her there.
ええ、そうみたいね。イリアとバーサーカーが外に出たのは確認したわ。まあ、そうでもなければこんなところまで忍び込まないけど。
I get it. Saber and Tasaka only managed to pull something so bold off because they saw Illya leave. She's bold as ever, but this time that brazenness worked to our advantage. I'm impressed.
とにかく話は後よ。ここがアインツベルンのアジトって分かった時は覚悟してきたけど、合わないならそれに越したことはないでしょ。セイバーがそんな調子じゃ バーサーカーには太刀打ちできないしね。
Sokka gestured for me and Saber to separate. Sokka, what do you mean? Saber's in no state. She's got her color back and she's acting like herself.
あなたね、そんな都合のいい話があるわけないでしょ。セイバーは全く回復してないわ。立っているだけが精一杯って見てわからない？
リン、それは黙っていると約束したはずです。
悪いわね、そんなの破棄よ。黙っていてもマイナスなだけだし、そもそも隠し通せる問題じゃないわ。
それはそうですが、しかし。
She sounds so pained. And now I see nothing has changed about her situation. Saber, is Tasaka telling the truth?
はい。リンの言うことは正しい。恥ずかしい話ですが、今の私ではセイバーとして戦うことはできません。できることと。
そんなことだろうと思ったわ。武装もできないぐらい弱ってるくせに一緒に行くって聞かないんだもの。戦えない代わりにマスターをかばおうとでも思ったんでしょ。
What? She's so weak she can't even arm herself? She was willing to become my shield since she couldn't fight. What kind of absurd nonsense is she saying?
すまないシロ。このような体ではサーバント失格だとは分かっていますが、それでも盾の役割はできます。
He's gonna yell.
不服だとは思いますが。
Oh, come on. Why does Saber never think about herself? Why is she only ever worried about everyone else? Oh, to hell with that. Of course I'm not happy. Tasaka, why did you bring Saber? Don't you realize Saber needs more help than me right now?
何よ、私だって反対したわよ。けどセイバーはどうしてもって聞かないし、そもそもセイバーじゃないとあんたの居場所は分からなかったわ。危険なのは百も承知だけど、それでもセイバーは必要だったの。
You still... I want to tell her she shouldn't have brought Saber, but I stopped myself. I have no business criticizing. It is only happening because I went and got captured. Tasaka and Saber were just doing what they thought was right.
口喧嘩も結構だがな。今そこまでにしておけ。マスターならば自分の住処の異常には敏感だろう。悠長に説明している暇はないぞ。
Yeah, we really should be leaving.
そうね、イリアスフィールのやつ、今頃慌てて戻ってきている頃だものね。
It hasn't been hours. She literally talked about it being hours.
いいわ、話は後にしてあげる。今はこの城から出ることが先決よ。それでいいわね、シロ。
シロ、私たちも。
Yeah, but if Saber is as bad as she was last night, it'll be hard for her to even walk right now. I don't want to push Saber any harder than I already have.
まったく、どうやら私も甘く見られたものですね。
Saber?
いくら魔力が尽きているとはいえ、今でもシロよりは戦えます。私から見ればシロの方こそ消えてしまいそうで怖い。リンは気がついていないようですが、体内の魔力が乱れているのではないですか。
Huh? Well, this is nothing. I can manage. I'm totally fine, really.
では、私もシロと同じです。苦しいですが、我慢しきれないものではありません。突然のことで状況がつかめないと思いますが、今はリンに従いましょう。話をするのなら、それは家に帰ってからです。
Let me double check something. Okay, audio is good. Again, I know I do this every time, even though it is working, but like, there have been days where I just completely didn't check. Saber encourages me to go. I give up. She looks so serious, so determined that I can't worry anymore. You're right, there are tons of things I want to talk about, but they can wait until we get home safely. I want to ask about Saber's condition, and I want to thank her for coming to rescue me. But now isn't the time to ask her about the dream I had. Okay, let's go, Saber. I nod and get moving as best I can. Every step is a supreme effort, but this isn't the time for whining. Even weak as she is, Saber came all the way here. Whoa. Is this a hallway? This corridor wouldn't be out of place in a museum. Illya's castle must be massive.
ちょっと見とれてる場合じゃないわよ。この城から出ても外は一面樹海なんだから急がないと朝になるわ。
A forest. So are we really in the mountains? Are you talking about the forest that's a couple hours from Miyama by car?
そう、アインツベルンの隠し城よ。この城から出た後、何時間もかけて森を抜けなくちゃならないの。今は夜だし、朝日が昇るまでには森を抜けるわよ。
Tasaka leads through the hallway, not hesitating for a moment. She's probably heading towards whatever door they snuck in through. I figured it was night, but how long have I been there? I thought it was about half a day, but maybe it's actually been a few days.
シローがイリアスフィールに囚われたのは朝方でしょう。それから半日が経過しています。日付は変わってしまいましたから、形の上では丸一日囚われていたことになりますね。
I see. Sorry.
いいえ、そのようなことはありません。イリアスフィールに捕まってこれだけの時間が過ぎたというのに、シローは無事でした。体は囚われの身でも心では負けなかった証ではないですか。
Well, that may be true, but
ええ、イリアスフィールは少女に見えてもアインツベルンの魔術師です。もし彼女に屈していたのなら、シローはシローではなくなっていたでしょう。私とてその可能性を考慮しなかったわけではありません。最悪あなたは死んでいるものと覚悟してこの城に足を踏み入れたのです。
but you would have disappeared before then.
だからここでシローと再会できてよかった。マスターが無事な姿を見せているのですから、私も負けるわけにはいきません。
I feel the same. I couldn't stand not knowing if Saber was safe or not.
ちょっとやる気あるのかっていうのよ。もたもたしてると本気で先に行くからね。
Tasaka pops her head from the bend of the corridor to yell at us. Crap, this really isn't the time for us to chat. Let's hurry, Saber. I break into a run, urging Saber to do the same. Ugh. Everything hurts, but I grit my teeth and keep going. I drive my aching body on, following Tasaka. As I half limp, half run, Saber brings up the rear. She must be in a lot of pain too. She's pretending not to be, but she's in no condition for this. Saber, if it's hard for you. I want to tell her I'll give her a helping hand, but I stop myself. Saying that will just make Saber dig in her heels and be more determined not to accept help. All I can do is keep an eye on her. When Saber's too exhausted to complain, I'll just carry her. Honestly, Saber can just be incorrigible sometimes. She's very similar to someone else. I wonder who. She has to be forced to even take a break. And so, with Tasaka leading the way, we managed to get to the exit. Hey, you said this was an exit, but this is the entrance, Tasaka.
何当たり前のこと言ってるのよ。玄関っていうのはそういうものでしょ。入る時も出る時もここが一番手っ取り早いんだから。
Tasaka hurries down the stairs. Well, I'm in no position to complain. Saber and I head down the stairs and into the hall. It looks like a lobby. All we have to do now is head out through the big door on the other end of the hall and we're out.
よし、ここまで来たら大丈夫。問題は森に出てからだけど、まあ夜だし、闇に乗じて国道まで出られるかな。イリアスフィールが戻ってきて、シロがいないって気づいたところで、後の祭りよ。あいつが帰ってくる頃には朝になっちゃってるしね。何よシロ、その顔。いかにも服そうだけど。
Nothing. Just kind of remembering how ballsy you are.
変な ところでおかしな確認するのね、あなた。
I was more getting at her just walking into enemy stronghold through the front door.
まあいいわ。とにかく外に出ましょう。帰り道は覚えているから迷うこともないしね。
We head towards the entrance. A long, narrow hall extends from the lobby, and at the end of it is an enormous door. The hall is unbelievably about 30 meters long. I'm reminded that we're standing in an actual castle, but in the next moment.
なんだ、もう帰っちゃうの？せっかく来たのに残念ね。
Illya shouldn't be here, but her giggling voice echoes up and down the hall. I whirl around. Everyone skids to a stop. The instant we see our enemy, we know we're dead as soon as we turn our backs to them. Tasaka's voice trembles. Back at the other end of the hall, we see her standing at the top of the stairs we just descended. She shouldn't be here. Ironically, it's a similar arrangement to our first meeting. Illya is standing above us with Berserker behind her. Berserker's presence is overwhelming. Now that I can assess a servant's strength, I understand what a monster he really is. We can't do this. Even if Saber was its full strength, Berserker is just too powerful. It wouldn't even be a battle. That monster can't be beat, not in a fight. If we're ever going to beat Berserker, we have to figure out how to do it without fighting him. In other words, if we want to live, we need to stay far away from Berserker.
こんばんは。あなたの方から来てくれて嬉しいわ。リン。
Illya's voice is cheerful and bouncy. She's smiling with the same smile I saw the night we met. Innocent but merciless. She won't settle to squash us like bugs. And that's when I realized we're not going to escape. Period. No matter what I do, I can't stop Illya. Even if it draw Ilya's attention, that won't let Tasaka and the others escape.
どうしたの？黙っていちゃつまらないわ。せっかく時間をあげてるんだから、遺言ぐらい残した方がいいと思うな。
She giggles. But we don't have time for these kinds of games. We need to run to the entrance the second we can find an opening. Even if we know we'll never get an opening, all we can do is wait and hope.
じゃあ、一つ聞いてあげる。
Even in this situation, Tasaka takes a step closer towards Illya.
リリアスフィール、あんたが戻ってきた気配はなかったけど、もしかしてずっと隠れてたのかしら？
そうよ。私はどこにも行っていないわ。私はね、ここからあなたたちの道化ぶりを眺めていただけ。
そう、外に出て行ったのは偽物ってわけ。
ええ、あなたたちが来ることは分かってたもの。私は主人なんだから、お客様のおもてなしをしないといけないでしょ。
Right then, the giant vanishes. I'm not sure if it jumped or just moved. The next thing I know, Berserker appears in the middle of the lobby, creating a whirlwind. This is the end for us. If we retreat towards the entrance, he'll slice us in half with that axe sword the moment we turn our backs to him. But we're dead if we stay here too. Our only other option is to challenge that walking mass of death, however futile it may be.
おしゃべりはおしまい。それじゃあ始めよっか。バーサーカー。
Berserker. The pale girl raises her hand as if performing a ritual and looking down on us.
誓うわ。今日は一人も逃がさない。
Her declaration is equal parts murderous intent and delight. Berserker's eyes light up. Before Berserker had only moved as Illya ordered, but now he's free to act and he identifies us as enemies. something's making a grinding sound. Tasaka? Tasaka grits her teeth hard, as if in regret.
あーちゃん聞こえる
Tasaka speaks quietly without turning.
少しでいいわ一人であいつの足止めをして
She just ordered her servant to his death. Archer doesn't answer.
バカな正気ですかリンあーちゃん一人ではバーサーカーにはかなわない私たちはその隙に逃げるあーちゃんには私たちが逃げ切るまで時間を稼いでもらうわ
Tasaka continues giving her orders, ignoring Saber. Her voice is cold, devoid of any emotion. Archer, who has been silent as if pondering something, his eyes fixed on Berserker, gives a slight nod.
賢明だリンたちが先に逃げてくれれば私も逃げられる単独行動は騎兵の得意分野だからな
He takes a step forward as if to protect Tasaka. Berserker doesn't move. Ilya's laughter echoes from above.
びっくりそんな誰とも知らないサーバントで私のヘラクレスを止めるって言うんだなんだ案外可愛いとこあるのねリン
Neither Chisaka nor Archer are in any position to object. They know better than anyone. Archer steps forward. He's empty-handed as usual. Tasaka looks at Archer's back. There's nothing she can say to him. She must know her orders are absurd. They amounted to telling Archer to die so we can escape.
あーちゃん私
Tasaka is about to say something, but
ところでリン一つ確認していいかな
Archer interrupts her, speaking so nonchalantly and it seems out of place.
いいわ何
Tasaka turns towards Archer, her eyes downcast. Archer's gaze stays locked on Berserker.
時間を稼ぐのはいいが別にあれを倒してしまっても構わんのだろ
It sounds completely ridiculous.
あーちゃんあんたええ遠慮はいらないわガツンと痛い目に合わせてやってあーちゃん
そうかならば期待に応えるとしよう
Archer walks forward. Only 10 meters until he reaches Berserker. At this distance, it could close on Archer instantly.
バカにしていいわやりなさいバーサーカーそんな生意気なやつバラバラにして構わないんだから
Ilya's voice is hysterical. Tasaka turns her back, not paying attention.
行くわ外に出ればそれで私たちの勝ちになる
Tasaka grabs my hand as well as Saber's and runs. Saber doesn't object and she follows Tasaka. I start running toward the entrance, leaving Archer behind. But then, from behind me,
エミヤしろ
he calls out to me, his back still to me. I let go of Tasaka's hand to turn around. In the lobby, now a good ways from me, I see Archer's back as he faces down Berserker.
いいかお前は戦うものではなく生み出すものに過ぎる
Berserker draws near. Archer is still empty-handed, and he doesn't take a single step while he watches his enemy closing in.
余分なことなど考えるお前にできることは一つだけだならばその一つを極めてみろ
Archer raises one hand. I have no idea when he got it, but he's holding a short sword now.
忘れるなイメージするものは常に最強の自分だ外敵などいらぬお前にとって戦う相手とは自身のイメージに他ならない
I see him start to shift. Berserker's sword sends a rush of wind ahead of him. I turn and run, not staying to watch the clash. Tasaka and Saber are already at the entrance. I run and I don't look back. The sight of the man in red made it clear that I needed to go. We hurry through the long hallway and out through the gate. Hard as it is to believe, we were really in a castle, and an old one at that, hidden deep in a forest. The whole place is surrounded by trees as far as one can see. I can't see any buildings or even a sky in the distance.
こっちよ。3時間もすれば国道に出られるから、それまで走って。
3 hours. Honestly, I'm not sure I'll last that long. I'm not tired, but the pain gets worse with every step. If I could at least rest, my fever might break. But we don't have time for that.
シロ、早く。
Tasaka sounds every bit as hurried. She'd given Archer his orders. As composed as she looks, I can see the regret weighing on her. I know. They're going to catch up. Saber, let's hurry.
はい。急ぎましょう、シロ。
Saber's eye are downcast, but she breaks into a run with us. We follow Tasaka as she slips between the trees. Saber's breath rattles loudly in her chest as she runs beside me. It's too dark for me to see clearly, but I can tell she's struggling. I can't ignore it any longer. Saber loses her balance. I sweep him from the side and take hold of her before she hits the ground. That's it. You can't go on anymore, Saber.
何を言うのです、シロ。この程度の苦境、今まで何度も経験してきました。私はまだ十分に走れます。
What are you talking about? Experienced or not, you're still in pain now. Come on, you need to admit you're struggling. I pull her arm. Saber hardly weighs anything anyway. I gather her effortlessly into my arms.
何をするのです、シロ。
No questions, just rest for a while. I'll be the first to fall if I have to keep watching you struggle like that.
無礼な、話しなさい。この程度で私が倒れるとでも思っているのですか。
Saber struggles in my arms, but her resistance is weak. Her thin arms have no real strength in them as she pushes at my chest. It pains me to see how weak she's gotten. I never imagined Saber would be too weak to push away someone from picking her up.
何を考えているのですか、シロ。このようなこと、いくらマスターといえど許しません。
Saber struggles against me, her face beet red. I can't really blame her. This must be a terribly embarrassing position for a knight to be in. But now isn't the time to worry about that. Lies, you're too weak to even push me away. This is an order from your master. If you won't listen, I'll have to use a command spell.
卑怯な。こんなことでレイジを使うなど、そんな無意を容認できるはずがない。
And keep quiet. If we don't hurry, Tasaka's going to leave us behind. Sarah must have given up as she reluctantly falls silent. That's good enough for now. As long as she's not struggling, I can carry her and run at the same time. Spots burst across my vision. As I run, my blood pumps faster. I try to fight down the nausea burning at the back of my throat, gritting my teeth with every step. My breathing is erratic, but I do all I can to hold the pain at bay. There's a reason for that.
シロ、下ろしてください。やはり私も走りますから。
The moment she sees me struggling, Saber looks up at me, concerned. I can't stop now. Don't underestimate me. Carrying you is nothing. Compared to a broken stove, a girl's light as a feather.
ですが、
Shut your mouth. Is give and take just not in your vocabulary? You've saved me plenty, so it wouldn't be fair for me not to do this. I need to pay you back for everything you've done, or else I can't have you protect me tomorrow.
いえ、そんなことはないのですが、私の方こそこれでは釣り合いが取れなくなる。
Fine by me. Just means I'll only have to do something like this once. Besides, I'm starting to get motivated now. I take a breath and pick up the pace. Tasaka knows very well that I have Saber in my arms, but she keeps taking us down narrower and narrower paths. It's a good thing Saber's so light, but following Tasaka is a trial all on its own. If you keep talking, you might bite your tongue, so I appreciate it if you stopped. Saber relaxes in my arms. She was tense earlier, which made carrying her harder, but now it's a bit easier. Problem is whether Saber and I will make it to our destination. I don't know how long you've been running. Maybe 30 minutes? Maybe an hour? Running doesn't take a lot out of me. I've been training hard and Saber is so light. But right now, there's something wrong inside me. The more I move, the dizzier I get. I feel like I'm about to throw up. I would have understood it if I had been bitten by a snake and the poison was doing a number on me, since we're in the forest, but this is nothing. This pain won't bring me to my knees. It's just a heaviness in my chest, and I need to throw something up. And it's nothing compared to the heat I feel in my arms right now. Saber's closed her eyes as if she were sleeping. She's not resisting, she's relaxed. Her body's growing hotter by the moment. Her body's growing hotter? Her clothes are damp with sweat, even though it's the middle of winter, and she's tucked her head down inside her labored breathing from me. To hide her labored breathing from me. This is bad. At this rate, it'll be a repeat of that one night. The night Saber collapsed from exhaustion after using her noble phantasm against Ryder. Saber's condition hasn't changed since that night. Was she able to talk until now because she'd just been a brief window before she disappeared? I run in an attempt to prevent that from coming true. I don't care what happens to my body. I move my feet as fast as I can, hoping that we can do something as long as we make it home. I very nearly trip and skid to a stop, leaning my back against a tree. I taste blood. So that's where the nausea is coming from. None got on Saber since it was just a little bit, but the source of my nausea churns in my chest. Well, depending on how you look at it, this is actually better. Saber would be pretty upset about the waste of food if I threw up. Actually, knowing Saber, she might have well cut me in half for it. Yep, that's funny. A bit of levity lends me just a little more energy. Okay, break's over. Saber? She wasn't asleep. Saber speaks up from where she lays in my arms. What? What do you mean I'm done? What? The hell I can't. I just tripped. This is nothing. Hey. Tasaka's come back for some reason. Saber nods. I can't really insist she's being ridiculous. Neither of them needs to remind me how much worse Saber's getting. Saber won't last long. I have the sense she won't make it until morning, and the way things are going. Of course not. I've got no plans to die or to let Saber disappear. If she's going to disappear, I'll use my command spells or whatever.
ついでに3人でこの森から脱出する。今後の方針はそれで決まりね。
Huh? My brain feels like mushy tofu. Tasaka says the damnedest things, and always so casually. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I'd really like to do that, but we can't.
いいからこっちに来て。言っとくけど、私も簡単にセーバーを死なせる気はないわ。ええ、この機会は逃さない。あなたにはその責務を果たしてもらう。シローもいいって言ったし、そうしても構わないわよね、セイバー。
Tasaka looks towards Saber meaningfully. Saber doesn't answer. Instead, she averts her eyes awkwardly. Once we pass through the exceptionally tall trees, something unexpected comes into our view. A ruin?
ここならしばらく身を隠せるでしょ。来るときにね、アーチャーが見つけておいたのよ。万が一の時の隠れ家にしようって。
Trees choke the ruins. Only one of the rooms is on the second floor remains more or less intact. The windows are miraculously undamaged, and the brilliant moonlight casts the room in its pale glow.
割合綺麗じゃない。もしかしたら最近まで誰かが寝泊まりしてたのかもね。
Nothing phases this girl. Tasaka steps over the rubble and pats the bed near the wall with both hands.
シローこっち。セーバーを寝かせないとまずいでしょ。人に抱かれているのって結構体力使うのよ。
Oh, yeah, I'll be right there. I lay Saber on the old beat-up bed.
どう？苦しいセーバー。まだ体を動かすのには問題ない？ええ。シローがここまで運んでくれましたから、まだ体を保っていられるようです。そうならあとはこっちの問題だけか。あれから1時間、イリアスフィールが追ってくるにしてももう少し時間がかかるわ。探すのに手間取れば朝方ぐらいまでは隠れていられる。
Oh? She just reminded me of something. We've run as far as this ruins, but what happened with Berserker and Archer? He stayed in the castle to hold Berserker off. It's already been an hour. Archer should have retreated from the castle by now. Tasaka, Tasaka doesn't respond. She only presses her right hand in her heart like she's clutching something precious. And that's enough to tell me what happened to Archer. Tasaka's command spell is on her right arm. A master and her servant are connected. In the same way Saber was able to detect when I was in danger, a master can sense whether their servant is alive or dead. Tasaka Heat.
まあね、足止めだけでいいって言ったのにさ。あいつ、最後までキザだったな。
Silence falls between us. It feels like the silence will last forever, but then...
けど、無駄になんかしない。アーチャーを失った以上、バーサーカーはここで倒す。
The sound of Tasaka punching her hand into a fist breaks the silence.
悔やむのはここまでよ。悩んでいる暇があったら行動するのが私の信条。ここまで来たら、あなたにも覚悟を決めてもらうからね。
Huh? What kind of decision?
決まってるじゃない。イリアスフィール、バーサーカーを倒す覚悟よ。
Yes?
セイバーを連れてたらこの森からは出られないし、彼女を自然に回復させるにしたって時間がかかる。どのみちイリアに追いつかれるわ。わかる？私たち3人揃って森を出るにはバーサーカーを倒すしかない。それができなければ私たちもアーチャーの後を追うだけよ。
Defeat Berserker? That monster? Defeat that invincible whirlwind of death. can't imagine that being possible. If we fight, we die. Tasaka should understand that perfectly herself. Is her plan still to defeat him, even knowing that? No, that's wrong. What am I saying? Tasaka's not saying we can beat it. She's not so blindly optimistic. Yeah, got it. We're not going to beat him to win. I should have realized that from the very beginning. We have to beat him, don't we? That's all there is to it. If we don't want to die here, we have to defeat that monster.
そういうことよ。けど、それほど絶望的な状況ってわけでもないわ。いくらバーサーカーだって、アーチャーと戦った後なら何らかの傷を負っているはずよ。私だってとっておきの宝石を全部持ってきてるし、セイバーさえ回復すれば打開策の一つや二つは作り出せるわ。逆に言えばね、バーサーカーが傷を負っている今こそイリアスフィールを倒せる最大の機会だと思わない？
But is there a way to heal Saber? This isn't the best place to treat her.
セイバーの治療に場所は関係ないわ。セイバーは単に魔力切れで弱っているだけだもの。一定量の魔力さえ補充してあげれば、あとは以前通りの能力を発揮してくれる。
Tasaka's explanation reminds me of late last night. She said that Saber's magical energy was mostly gone, which is why to restore Saber's magical energy.
いい？セイバーを助けたいなら、セイバー自身に人を襲わせて魂を食べさせるしかない。なら答えは一つよ。レイジを使いなさい、エミヤ君。それで最悪の事態が避けられるわ。
I have 2 command spells left. I'll use one to make Saber attack people so she can devour their souls to replenish her magical energy. If Saber won't recover, we can't kill Berserker. If we can't defeat Berserker, then he'll kill us. I look at Saber where she lies. We're just letting her suffer at this point, but... No. I still can't agree to let Saber attack innocent people.
ええ。今回は私も同意よ。
Huh?
これが他の場所だったらその提案をしたでしょうけどね。でもここはイリアスフィールの庭の中、人の魂なんかどこにもない。あの城の中にはバーサーカーとイリアスフィール以外の誰かがいるかもしれないけど、それを探しに行くのはミスミス七に赴くようなものよ。
For Saber to eat souls, we'd have to be out of this place, so it's not going to happen right now. Tasaka nods. I'm relieved I'm not to have to make Saber attack people, but then how are we supposed to replenish Saber's magical energy? So what do we need to do, Tasaka? This whole problem comes from me not being able to provide Saber with magical energy.
方法はあるわよ。その昨日ってもう一昨日に説明したでしょ。サーバントに魔力を分け与える方法は共有の魔術とそれ以外にわずかな方法しかないって。あの時はまあこんな状況になるとは思わなかったから言わなかったんだけど。
I try to think back to our conversation that night. Now that you mentioned it, she said something like,
まあ召喚時にセーバーとパスが通っているはずだからまだ方法があるかもしれないけど。
I think that's what Tasaka said. I remember now. You said something about a path, and that there's some other method besides magecraft. Right? Or did I get that wrong? At the time, I was shocked to learn that I had to make Saber attack people, so I might have misheard her. Tasaka, is there another way?
まあね、私がサポートできる範囲で2つ。この状況だと荒っぽい方になるわ。いい？セイバーの魔力不足は素人のパスが不完全だからよ。彼女を回復させるにはこのパスを完全な形に通し直すしかない。
Reform the path, right? That's probably the best solution, but I don't know how to do it. Saber's summoning was messed up from the start. If I had been able to make a connection to the supplier with magical energy, we wouldn't be in this mess.
話自体は簡単よ。
シローとセイバーを共感状態にして霊的なパスをつなぎ直すだけ。契約破棄や最小間以外にパスを修復するためにはそれしかない。そのためにセイバーにシローの魔術回路を移植するの。
Oof. Transplant my magic circuits to Saber?
セイバーとシローのパスを新しくするには霊的に重要な器官を移植するしかないわ。サーバントとマスターが聖杯の力を借りているのなら、それに匹敵する強い結合を生み出さないとパスは通らない。そのためにはマスターの魔術回路をサーバントに移植する。それくらいやらないとシローの力がセイバーには届かないから。
Magic circuits. An indispensable mechanism for mages that uses odd to activate mana. It's the core of a mage's existence, and without it, the magical energy that serves as a source of a mage's power can't be created. To a mage, their magic circuits are more important than life itself. They see them as the thing that gives their existence value.
サーバントの回路をマスターに移植するのは危険すぎるわ。ゴーストライナー、それも英霊の回路は死にゆく人の体に移しても強烈な拒絶反応しかもたらさない。そうなると残された手はシローの回路をセイバーに移植するしかないってこと。でもそれは張り巡らされた神経を引きちぎられることと同じよ。そうなればその負担は
Entirely on the one offering the transplant. Ripping out nerves is the same as amputating fingers or even arms.
待ってください、リン。それはあまりにもシローに。
そうしないと誰も生き残ることはできない。あなたなら分かっているはずよ、セイバー。
I gulp as quietly as I can. I have to get my priorities straight. We don't have time for me to hesitate when what needs to be done is clear. Tasaka, can you make this work?
成功させるわ。でも成功させることはそのまま安全につながるわけじゃない。失敗させるつもりはさらさらないけど、成功すればシローの魔術回路はセイバーに奪われる。むしろ失敗した方がいいんじゃないかって思えるほどの喪失感と苦痛を生むでしょうね。もし魔術回路を奪われれば、それはシローが
It would mean that my secondary nerve, my missing magic circuits, would be like a piece torn from my psyche and would damage the spiritual body's integrity, creating a fatal flaw in me as a mage. I will never regain that missing piece for as long as I live. My hopes of becoming a full-fledged mage from experience alone will die. Once I lose my foundation, my magic circuits, I will always be incomplete no matter what. I nod for my own sake. Is that all? I'd rather save Saber. Okay, let's do it, Tasaka.
早っ。決断が早いのはいいけど、本当にどういうことなのか分かってるの？
I do. You already told me.
分かってるわけないじゃない。いい？セイバーを救うために、私はシローに魔術師として死ねと言っているようなものなのよ。なのにどうしてそんなに反論もしないでうなずいて。
Well, the first answer is, according to you, I wasn't that great of a mage anyway, so it's fine. Because I don't have any objections. I'm agreeing because this is the best plan we have. You should be more confident in your own plan. Seeing you panic like that is making me worry. And if we don't do this, Saber can't fight Berserker, right?
そうよ。そうだって言ってるじゃない。
See? And it's not like we haven't made any sacrifices. We have to fight and win since he bought us time. His stance told me to go. I didn't like him, but he was willing to risk his life to protect his master Tasaka. I can't back out now.
いいわ。始めましょう、シロ。
Yeah. Are you ready, Saber? We're going to transplant my magic circuits to you.
はい。それがマスターの判断なら。
I hear neither affirmation nor denial in her voice. But her eyes seemed filled with regret. I guess Tasaka is going to prepare us for the transplant. I don't know the procedure, so I just have to leave it all to Tasaka.
まずはセイバーからね。シロを魔術回路をオンにしたまま、できるだけ心を乱さないように待機していて。
I close my eyes and switch over the artificial nerve of my body. Thanks to Tasaka's instructions, I've been able to turn my circuits on and off effortlessly. A red flower entangles the white flower. Tasaka climbs up to straddle Saber, who lies still. Then she begins to run her fingers freely along the curves of Saber's slender form. Tasaka, what are you doing to Saber?
何って、セイバーにもリラックスしてもらおうと思って。セイバーが力を抜いてくれないと成功率が下がっちゃうし。
Oh, sorry. Continue.
ええ、どうも。それじゃあ服を脱ぎましょうか、セイバー。
What?
いちいち驚かないの。脱ぐって言っても一部だけよ。魔術回路の移植は精神と体の融合よ。できるだけ接触を多くして遮蔽を少なくしなきゃいけないでしょ。
Tasaka is completely calm about this. Saber and I are only two are flustered about this as Tasaka begins undoing Saber's collar.
待ってください、リン。それでしたら自分ででき。
腕を上げるのも辛いくせに強がらないで。はあ、それともエミヤ君、マスターの責務としてセイバーを自分で脱がせたいとか。
Say let. Oh, sorry. You. I want to call her a fool, but I snap my mouth shut. All jokes aside, I'm not suited to do a task like that. If I had to do it, I wouldn't be able to maintain my composure. Sorry, I'm leaving everything to you.
よろしい。そういうわけだから白も脱ぎなさい。は、上着脱ぐだけでいいから。下まで全部脱いだら殺すからね。
I can't tell if she's joking or being serious. It seems like I need to strip to connect with Saber, though.
シロ、お願いです。しばらく背を向けていていただけないでしょうか。
Oh, got it. Tell me when you're ready. I turn away and fold the shirt I was wearing. I try to distract myself and hide how nervous I am by folding the shirt up neatly, sleeves and all.
大丈夫、セイバー。
はい。だいぶ楽になりましたが。
I need to calm down. I try to get my fear under control as I find myself dreading how painful and difficult the magic circuit transplant will be, and how it might fail. This is just a step along the path. I should be more worried about the fight with Berserker that comes after this.
いいわよ、シロ。
Okay. My God. I forget to breathe. I've seen her bare skin before, but I've never seen Saber like I'm seeing her now as she lies in bed. It must be all this tension in the air. It's not just me, Saber is acting weird too. She acted normal when I saw her bare skin before.
シロ、こっち。ここに上がってセイバーに覆いかぶさって。
It's like someone else is controlling my body. I'm walking towards the bed, but it doesn't seem real to me.
セイバー、同調までは私がやるわ。それからあとはあなたにお願いするけど、持っていきすぎないように注意して。少なければ少ないほどシロの負担は減るから。
わかりました。お願いします。リン。
I have no idea what they're saying. Right now, it's all I can do to breathe. We get even closer. We're so close our skin is almost touching. I feel Saber's weak breath on me. I support my weight on my hands. My body's so close to hers.
変革準備。実質。ボーが接続開始。
The chant begins. I try to focus my consciousness on what's happening, to clear my mind so I can sympathize with Saber.
小さく小さく小さく小さく円環航路開始
I only see Saber's face. She's already in the meditative state. I can't keep my eyes open forever. I reluctantly close my eyes.
大きく大きく大きく大きく愛の行動連続閉鎖
My senses begin to fade. It's the same floating sensation as when I create my magic circuit every night. The feeling of my ego, my mind, leaving my body. This time, though, it's running in reverse. Normally, I feel that sensation coming from my back, but right now, my consciousness is escaping from my chest. The five senses are functions associated with the physical body. The moment my consciousness leaves my body, I lose my sense of hearing. But my ears are more sensitive to Saber's breathing. Her slow, steady breathing begins to speed up. I hear the heart pounding in my chest. Blood rushes through my veins. I leave the vessel known as Shiro Emiya and slide into her body. My consciousness seeks deeper into her. My self swirls and converges, invading her as a solid crystal. Pulsing, hot breath. Our hearts, not our bodies, touch.
白
Her voice rings out like a bell. And in response, my essence escapes my physical body. My senses are transformed. I have no hands, no legs, no self, but I continue in this bare state. Time seems to flow backwards. Instead of flying, I feel as if I'm being left behind. I accelerate. The body, persona, law, order. I become an arrow, shattering every barrier around me, destroying the boundaries that separate one person from another. Sparks race along the circuit. I freeze in ecstasy of reaching the speed of light. They say a person's life flashes by in a single instant. The flashbacks are cruel. Every instant passes by in a blink of an eye. I can't look at it directly, so I find myself going emotionally numb. So this is a mental journey. I'm reminded just how comforting our physical bodies, our anchors, can be. I visualize the foundation of magecraft. The human operation is quantified. Hundreds of institutions, millions of joints form a circle. The endless complex patterns are in fact, just a highway formed by a simple repetition, all heading in the vastness of the future. It's like a vehicle of some kind heading toward the darkened city of night, the city of light. Here in the present, my thoughts pass by at the speed of light. Eternity passes in an instant. I pass through the last boundary. I break through and I'm inside her. I see a glimpse of Altria's magic circuits, not my own. The changes are extreme. The speed and light of the world vanish all at once. Here it is dark. Here it is heavy. The pressure of it pushing against my bodiless form. The air is so thick I may as well be underwater. My body sinks, feeling only the agony of being clamped into vice. The path is deep, and I can't see the bottom. I feel myself fall through the thick twilight, plummeting deeper into an even denser darkness. It seems impossible that just a moment ago I traveled 10,000 miles in the blink of an eye. Now even going a single mile seems like it would be an arduous, eternal journey. I can neither feel light nor hope. Are these really Saber's magic circuits? They're completely different from mine. The shape of the circuits, the number of pathways, all that differs from person to person, but this is unlike anything else. This isn't a matter of scale or ability. Saber's magic circuits are fundamentally different than the mage's. The path rumbles. Every time it does, my tiny self nearly shatters. I don't know what Saber's magic circuits are like, but I can tell the sympathizing magecraft is functioning properly. This is not a failure. The dark, heavy pressure of this place doesn't seem like Saber, but it's also not an impure place. It's brimming with life. The flowing air is blood and the swirl of magical energy. I realize I've forgotten to breathe. I haven't needed to. Sinking is painful, but not life-threatening. I look up into the darkness I've sunken into, but I seem to be past the point of no return. I can't see anything in this darkness. I'm submerging gradually, but the distance ahead is infinite. The air grows even heavier. My rate of descent slows yet again. I squint into the darkness. The seemingly endless road does have an end. I feel the heat of Saber's body. I feel her every breath so close. The final destination. I reach the source of Saber's magic circuits, the center of her mental world. But what I see is beyond my capacity to understand. It's the core of a star. I've reached the embodiment of some impossible scorching heat, breathing from the depths of the earth. The fiery red surface swirls, and there's a splash, like stagnant mud. At the bottom, there lurks a giant shadow. Its fiery eyes fix on the tiny intruder. Whether its master give the intruder permission or not to enter or not, it is still a foreign invader. In the face of the core, my own consciousness is barely a mote of dust to disturb its function, or a piece of wood to feed its fire. I gulp, even though I have no throat to swallow with. I take in the entire scene. These are Saber's magic circuits. A heart beyond anything human, so different from ours, which we imagine as lines and circuits. This is a reactor core. If a mage's body is a machine for creating magical energy, then what I'm seeing now is an entire factory. But the core is inactive. The key that should activate the core, the spark of power to bring the whole thing to life, has been cut off. Despite the overwhelming ability this core has to produce massive amounts of magical energy, it lacks the initial charge to activate itself. It floats overhead, the stagnant sea of fuel. No matter how much undulated magical energy fills this endless space, it's useless. It needs to ignite. Even a tiny spark would do the trick. So long as the pathway for magical energy is connected, the core will roar back to life. And to do that, something beyond human knowledge awakens. Pathways running over the lake of magical energy begin to swirl. Red air explodes upwards in a raging pillar. Is this what it's like to stand in a thundercloud? So intense is the roar of the raging waves that I don't even properly hear it. In the same way something too massive can't be properly seen, the roar is its own kind of silence to me. What appears at the heart of the blazing core is the embodiment of every threat mankind carries in their hearts. It has been said that the king is a red dragon that symbolizes Britain. Phantasmal blood runs in their human veins, the child of a sacred star. A dragon. A ruler, the symbol of so many phantasmal species, objects of both awe and fear. The pinnacle of all beasts, appearing at times as a demon, at times a god. This is what lies in Saber's subconscious. Its otherworldly form suits the servant said to be the best. The cauldron opens. Vicious fangs are all I see. There can be no resistance. Humans, which pale into insignificance before this, could never defend against it. No human intelligence could ever conceive of a way to escape. Oh. It must be famished. It devours its prey, which would normally seem as inconsequential as motes of dust, with its bloodshot eyes. And I am at complete loss for words. I wonder, why do we not eat living meals? It's obvious. We cannot bear to see our food alive. We prefer fresh food, but rarely do we eat anything alive, because we feel it's cruel for our food to suffer. In other words, killing the meat we consume before we eat it is our way of preserving its dignity. A scream of rage tears its way from my throat. I forget who I am and roar like a beast. I try to appeal to the beast. The hatred builds within me. My only resistance is bearing my emotions. I beg for mercy like a crucified sinner as I'm ground to meal. My consciousness grows hazy, muddled. Every purpose and meaning in my life falls away. Any hope of retaining my sanity is long gone as creation itself. The pain, the pressure, they're far, far too much. And then, when I came to see it only as a monster, even once I'd learned of this hell, I believed I could endure it. The image of Saber, her head hanging low, comes back to me. I recall the meaning of this pain. The meaning drives me forward. It is a literal, painful reminder of what I came here to do. I draw in a breath and let go of my resistance. It's not the dragon's fang I should be fighting, but the pain twisting through me. I'm not here to run from the pain. I'm here to save her pain, to live up to the trust she placed in me time and time again. And so, I'm here to give her the best thing that I, who has no hope of fighting, can give. The pain is indescribable. I can't reach out to my ground down consciousness. I hone my awareness like a blade, silently as if I were asleep. Here, eternity is but an instant. As long as I can endure this pain, even for an instant, my consciousness will remain. All right then. I won't let myself feel an ounce of fear. I shall dedicate this pain to you, who will be the one to fight. The pain instantly fades. The red dragon is gone. My consciousness gradually floats back to the surface. Am I weightless because I lost something? As if I'm floating back to the water's surface, I feel myself begin to rise up above the reactor. But wait, there's something I want to check before. It's so warm. A dull, throbbing hum issues from the reactor as it burns with golden light. The elaborate magic circuits shine with a bright rainbow hue and begin their circulation. The fire is lit. I may be an untrained amateur of a mage, but today I've filled my role as her lord. I surrender my body to the wind and float upward. I I catch a glimpse of a distant memory. A figure holding a sword, and a figure standing in a grassy field as it dances in the wind. Which one did I find reminiscent? I feel sunlight on my eyelids and slowly open them. Dazed and confused, I check over my own body. My arms and legs are fine. I don't see any wounds. Maybe the pain faded in the moment I was able to endure it. My physical wounds and even the mental scars seem to have been healed.
Shiro.
I hear a weak voice from under me. Huh? The feeling of her soft skin immediately makes me realize who's speaking and the position we're in. Ouch! Saber's lying in the bed with her blouse in disarray, while Tasaka is sleeping, cradling her knees to her chest. Tasaka may be fine, but Saber's been under me like this the whole time. Morning, Saber.
Hi. Ohayou gozaimasu, Shiro.
We exchange awkward pleasantries. Saber slowly gets up and rearranges her blouse. Crap. We're so embarrassed we can't even look each other in the eye. You can already get up, Saber?
Hi. 魔力の供給を受けられるようになりましたので。
She seems to be back to her normal self. When I carried her here last night, she was so weak it seemed she might disappear at any moment. But that weakness is gone now. I see, that's a relief. So the magic circuit transplant worked.
はい。ですからその服を着ていただけませんか、シロ。その
I don't know why it's difficult to look at you, but
私もなぜか
please put something on. I look down at myself. Oh yeah, you're right. I hastily reached for my neatly folded shirt. That was nice of Tasaka to fold it up like that. Wait, no, I did that. Why did I fold it so tight? Ugh. I vividly recall last night's ritual. I connected with Saber and Tasaka transplanted my magic circuits deep within Saber. Saber looks like she's back to normal, but what happened to me? Tasaka warned that my body and mind may not be able to handle the loss of magic circuits, but I don't feel much damage, nor any huge sense of loss. I was a little scared, but I checked on my magic circuits myself. The idea of seeing for myself just how much I've lost is terrifying, but we're heading into this battle against Berserker. I need to understand my own condition. Huh? I don't know how to explain it. The overall function of my magic circuits feels sluggish, but there doesn't seem to be any obvious damage. I was chewed to pieces, but my magic circuits are still intact. It looks like I'll still be able to do my strengthening magecraft. I see, so that means... I assume the magic circuits I rarely use were the ones Tasaka took. I only activate about 1 to 4 circuits when I do strengthening, since I can't do large-scale magecraft anyway. I never fully activated all my circuits, since you transplanted the circuits I don't use to Saber.
シロ。
I close my eyes to assess my situation. It seems this won't affect my strengthening magecraft, but this sluggishness feels like I'm wading through water. Is it because my capacity for magecraft has decreased? In exchange, though, I feel that I'm connected to something important deep inside myself. I can't tell exactly where it's coming from, but there's a faint line that connects me to Saber. I've gained something truly important in exchange for my lost circuits.
申し訳ありません、シロ。
Saber speaks up from somewhere behind me.
シロの回路を得る際に必要最小限にとどめるよう努力はしました。ですが、その最低限の量ですら人から得るには多すぎた。もしやシロに消せない傷跡を残してしまったかと思うと、謝罪の言葉も見当たりません。これは私の不覚です。私が書くも力足らずでなければ、シロには。
That's not true. You have nothing to apologize for, Saber. This all happened because I couldn't supply you with magical energy in the first place. That's solved now, though. Now I can give you the magical energy you need without a problem. Yep, now I can finally proudly say I'm Saber's master.
ですが、シロ。
Don't worry about my magic circuits. I didn't use them all anyway. I even feel better without them, actually. Saber's expression remains clouded. Crap, I never know what to say at times like this. Saber recovered and I survived even after the loss of some of my magic circuits. Saber's magic circuits, the dream of light and wind, and Saber in her youth, and on top of that, we spent the night touching, skin to skin. Oh, scandalous. Calm down, calm down. That was the ritual for our survival. I need to calm my mind. If I don't focus, I can mess up during battle. The sleepy rhythm of Tasaka's breathing halts and she grunts. Looks like Tasaka's awake too. Yo, morning, Tasaka. I see Tasaka's hair shift, then her head tilts up. She's not a morning person at all, and doesn't look her usual sharp self at all. Thanks, Tasaka, it worked. No, I only lost about 30%, so don't worry. I can make do with what I still have. It's fine. Greedy, you say? I know you were hungry, but I wish you had had a little better manners. Got her. Tasaka joining us helps dispel the awkwardness between Saber and me. Now we're back to normal. Tasaka yawns and gets to her feet. It's almost time for the battle. Somewhere in that forest, Berserker and Ilyasville await. If we don't defeat that hurricane of death, everything we did last night was for nothing. The connection that was created between me and Saber deep in our hearts. To protect what we created, we'll have to defeat the most powerful enemy of all. Interlude 11-1. Fate. But I have to pee, so I'm going to be back. I have returned. I grabbed a drink, used the restroom, all that fun stuff. So we're doing well. In other news, there's a discussion that should be had where I talked about this a while ago, where I injured my arm, right? This was like earlier in the year. Went to physical therapy and all that sort of stuff. So when he talks about like feeling weaker and knowing exactly how much a percentage of like his circuits are gone and all that sort of stuff, and obviously Shiro knows because he can do like the analysis, right? But yeah, like that's pretty familiar feeling, at least to me. Not that my arm's not going to recover and get back to normal, but like I could not use my arm effectively, and it still has some trouble here and there, just with like stretching and stuff like that, but like it's not bad. But it was always like a dull pain, and it's still kind of there. And I haven't been really good about doing like the stretches lately, but that's okay. All right. Anyway, back to it. Their battle comes to an end. The two fought fiercely, and it ended with the disappearance of the Red Knight. Now a shadow of its former glory, the reception room is in ruins. The floors are cracked and broken. Many of its walls have been knocked down. The stairs have collapsed, and broken marble is scattered across the floor. There's hardly a trace of the reception room's original form. Some might even say time itself has been stolen from this place. After such vast destruction, the scene bears no resemblance of what it was just 2 hours ago. A sculpture well suited to such destruction stands in the middle of it all. Standing over 2 meters tall, it bears a crude likeness of a man, as if roughly hacked out of stone. It hardly bears mentioning. This is Ilya's servant, Berserker. The giant doesn't move. Its entire body is splattered with red, with several holes torn through it. Not a single inch of the giant's body isn't wounded. 1, both legs appear to be on the verge of collapse. 2, a massive gash on the neck. 3, arms practically hanging off the elbows. 4, something has pierced it from the shoulder to groin. 5, blood gushes from its chest. 6, its belly is torn open. Berserker is not moving. He will. It's clearly a corpse. The battle itself lasted less than an hour. The result unexpected. Berserker's master is beside herself. She should be picking off what remained of her prey, but instead she just stands there, staring at the devastation. Her voice is low mumble now. The battle came as her humiliation to her. Her servant is the most powerful. Among all heroic spirits, maybe 1 or 2 could compete with Heracles, the most renowned hero of all time. And yet, some unknown archer defeated him. The Red Knight fought on equal ground with Berserker, and in the end even killed Berserker, which nobody else had even thought possible. And for that, he can never be forgiven. To Illya, it is as if she's been stabbed in the heart by a passing insect. She prided herself on being the strongest master. For her to lose that to the sort she should have so casually trampled must be unthinkable. Six times. The statue doesn't answer. It has neither the time nor the need to do so. Berserker stands still, focusing on healing himself. Even for him, this was an unusual battle. His noble phantasm nullifies any attack, so as long as the attack is not the highest possible class, it won't so much as scratch him. As such, he rarely sustains any wound. In his own time, none could harm him after he attained greatness. But here, now, he's been hurt 6 times. Archer delivered 6 fatal blows. Each of his attacks was of a different sort. That is because even the strongest attacks won't work twice on Berserker. Strange as this battle was, the most truly bizarre part was, if Archer was a hero with so many different abilities, his identity should have been obvious. But even after his body was pulverized, Archer's identity remained a mystery. What was really surprising is how he carried himself in a way that seemed contradictory as a servant. A faint light flickers in the pupils of Berserker's eyes. Were Berserker a normal, rational servant, he would probably feel pretty bad about how this battle went. Whatever his identity might have been, Archer was a rare and formidable adversary. If only Berserker's sanity hadn't been taken from him, he would have fought to his heart's content and maybe even enjoyed himself. Illya's voice echoes in the shattered hall. Whatever tiny embers of rationality might have been returning to him are immediately snuffed out by her voice. He's just Berserker now. His role is to overwhelm and annihilate his master's enemies. Berserker doesn't need to answer. So long as the wound doesn't kill him, he'll heal in moments. But to completely recover from this would take as much as 3 days. The giant silently objects. It's almost instinctive. At least when it comes to a fight, Berserker has instincts similar to Saber's. He can certainly destroy his enemy easily enough, but if Saber has recovered enough that she can use her noble phantasm, that will be a different story. Berserker will not fall to a mere sacred sword, but there is always the small chance of something going wrong. His instincts tell him that he should completely be prepared before facing his servant. Did he lose another life somewhere? Maybe the first encounter, I don't remember. Illya hops down from the stairs. She walks through the rubble and to the exit without a moment's concern for Berserker, bloodied as he is. But suddenly, she stops as if she remembers something. Illya heads out of the castle, giggling happily. The sun is about to rise. Illya knows the forest like the back of her hand. She won't have any trouble finding her prey, even if they try to hide. Her targets have only minutes to live. Interlude out. Honestly, the fight between Archer and Berserker would be pretty incredible, but they never really show it. And, I don't know why, but I'm forced out of the ruins. Tasaka kicks me out, saying that girls have to make some adjustments and changing and stuff like that. Damn, what is she talking about? Men have things too, don't you know? I lean against the wall as I grumble. I guess I sound like a sore loser, and that's exactly it. Ugh. I remember, and then I try to shake off my desires. I can't think about that right now. If I keep lingering on memories with Saber, I'm a dead man. More than anything, it would be rude to Saber. I made a contract with Saber to save her. I shouldn't have any other feelings for Saber. Ugh. What a crock. It's such a pathetic It's such a pathetic excuse, I don't even believe it. I can't forget what happened with Saber, but I need to for now. Honestly, I don't have time to worry about that kind of stuff. Our concern right now is how to fight Berserker. Right, I should be doing whatever I can. He told me that there at the end. I think back to Archer. I never warmed up to him, but every word he said stuck with me. I stare at a tree branch. There's only so much I can do. I may not be much help, but I'm going to do whatever I can as best I can. For starters, I snap off a nearby tree branch. I then try to find other straight branches. Sasaka's voice reaches me in my search. I head back to the ruins carrying the branches I collected. Well, the only other problem is whether I can act anything properly, approaching normal around Saber after looking into her heart, however briefly. I guess I was worrying over nothing. Saber's her usual self. Unlike me, immature as I am, she's probably just approaching this pragmatically. Oh yeah, I'll be right there. Damn, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm so damn dumb being the only one blushing over this. So I'm going to do my best to keep my composure.
来たわね。それじゃあ作戦会議を始めるけど、会議って言っても口論し合う暇はないわ。バーサーカーを倒す方法も限られているし、とりあえず私の話を聞いてもらえる？
Saber and I nod.
作戦としては単純よ。まともな方法じゃバーサーカーとは勝負にならない。勝つためには奇襲。仕掛けたのなら反撃させずに一撃で首を落とすのが絶対条件だと思う。
同感です。バーサーカーと打ち合ったところであれには致命傷を与えられません。倒すのならば打ち合いの外から消すべきでしょう。
Besides trading blows, are you saying we need to attack Berserker before he realizes he's being attacked? Well, sure, I think it's reckless to go toe-to-toe with him, but that just sounds reckless. He's not the sort to just let something like that happen.
バーサーカーに気づかれずに近寄るなんて都合のいい作戦はやらないわよ。あっちにはイリアスフィールがいるんだもの。少なくともセイバーとシローの気配は簡単に感知されるわ。私は気配を隠せるから大丈夫だけど。
I don't understand the logic, but I get the sense Illya can detect me and Saber. And if Tasaka's the only one who can conceal herself, you're not saying that you'll be the one launching the ambush, are you?
当然でしょ。一番に狙われてるのはシローなんだし、この中で一番動きやすいのは私だもの。隙をついて後ろからバッサリやるのは任せなさい。
You make it sound so easy, but you're sure as hell no it won't be.
そりゃそうよ。だからセイバーに隙を作ってもらうの。セイバー、体はどのくらい回復した？
通常戦闘ならば問題はありません。ですが、防具の使用は避けるべきです。今の魔力では おそらく使った瞬間に体を維持できなくなる。たとえ使ったとしても純度は落ちていますから、バーサーカーを倒せるとは思えません。
ええ、それで十分よ。セイバーにはバーサーカーと打ち合ってもらうわ。もちろんシロも一緒で、私は隠れて様子を見る。イリアスフィールから見れば私はおまけみたいなものだし、いなければ二人を見捨てて逃げたとか思うんじゃないかしら。
Probably.
はあ、それはまあ可能性はなくはありませんが。
可能性が低いならあげて。シロはイリアスフィールと仲がいいみたいだし、うまく話せば騙せるんじゃない？
Tasaka looks at me meaningfully. I may have some objections, but I'll hear you out. If I tell Illya that Tasaka fled, she'll believe me. She doesn't doubt when people tell her.
だとしても問題はあります。私がバーサーカーと対峙するのはいい。ですが、シローに同じことはさせられません。シローではバーサーカーの一撃に耐えられない。
誰もシローに殴り合えなんて言ってないわ。シローはセイバーから離れて後方支援。セイバーだけじゃバーサーカーを押し切るのは難しいから、危なくなったら助けてあげて。
バカな。シローはリンのように魔術に長けてはいない。援護と言っても何を。
それはシローが考えて。
Yeah, basically.
もっともバーサーカー相手だとマスターが介入する余裕なんてないわ。シローだけじゃなくて私だって手を出せばセイバーの足を引っ張るもの。それでも一人だって遊ばせる余裕はないの。シローが殺されればセイバーもおしまいっていうのは分かってるけど、ここはそうしてもらうわ。初めから賭け事みたいな戦いなんだから。
それはそうですが。
Saber makes a face and falls silent. Since Tasaka's gone quiet too, she must understand how reckless her proposal is. I can't blame them for being worried. The night I met Saber, the night Berserker attacked, the only thing I managed to use to defend her was my own body. There's a strong possibility that we're headed toward a repeat of what happened that night. So while it may be best for me to distance myself from the battlefield, I'm not going to do so unless they force me to. I know. I'll try to think of something to support you from a distance. Was it really that much of a surprise? I'll just have to support Saber from a distance, right? I'll come up with something. I grab the tree branches I gathered earlier as I say that. Just the right length and exactly the right kind of flexibility. This is the first time I've done this kind of strengthening, but I don't think I'm wrong in the principle here. Basically, I just need to layer my strengthening until it turns into something substantial. Besides, he had something like this, so I can use it as reference. On top of that, magical energy has been flowing through my body for a while now. All I have to do now is repeat my usual process. I analyze its basic structure and change it. I analyze the material composition and reinforce it. Starting from the branch, my result should now be his bow, but something's missing. I need to think of this from the standpoint of creation. If I want to make something as close as possible to the real thing, I need to envision everything I can about it, down to the smallest detail. I opened my eyes. The warped branch was the right shape, but something wasn't. Crap, it's not even close. It's ugly, distorted, and yet I can tell it will work fine as a bow. Now I just have to create an arrow following the same concept.
シロ、今の。
Yeah, I think I got the hang of it after the incident with Shinji. You said it yourself. Don't strain myself.
そう。まあ手段ができたのはいいことだし、今はいいわ。話を戻すけど、とにかく2人にはバーサーカーと戦ってもらう。 私はあらかじめ木に登って上から様子を観察してるから。で、セイバーがなんとかバーサーカーに隙を作ったら、死角である頭上からとっておきの宝石を使い切ってバーサーカーを串刺しにする。作戦としてはそれだけの単純なものだけど。
Tasaka turns her attention to us, checking whether we have any questions.
宝石というのはリンの魔術ですか。だとしても生半可な魔術ではバーサーカーの体には届きません。彼を傷つけるには最大純度の攻撃でなければならないのですから。
分かってる。要するに A 判定の攻撃でないとダメなんでしょ。
Yeah. As she says this, Tasaka pulls several jewels from her pocket.
その宝石は
私が物心ついた時からために貯めた貯金みたいなものよ。これ一つで A 判定の大魔術を即座に発生させられる。10個あったんだけどね、一つはあなたに使っちゃったわ。
そうか。あの時の魔術ならば確かにバーサーカーは防げない。
She remembered that one?
彼には私のような大魔力はありません。魔術であってもそれが A 判定ならば問題なく貫通する。
そういうことよ。本当は小出ししていこうと思ったけど悠長なことは言ってられないわ。バーサーカーには特別に2つか3つは叩き込んでやるんだから。
Tasaka puffs out her chest confidently. However, hey, aren't you being a little stingy?
同感です。私が言えることではありませんが、せめて半分使い切るぐらいの気前の良さは必要だと思うのですが。
何よ、そんなの人の勝手でしょ。あなたたちね、私がどれほど苦労してここまで貯めたって思ってるのよ。
Saber and I protest silently. Tasaka's life depends on this operation too. We can't let ourselves fail because she's being stingy.
分かったわよ。半分使えばいいんでしょ。使えば。何よ、言ってみただけじゃない。私だってそれくらい分かってるんだから。とにかく作戦はそれだけよ。あとは私が隠れられてシローがセイバーの援護をしやすい場所を探さなくちゃ。イリアスフィールが来る前にいい場所を見つけましょう。
Yeah, we can't stay in these ruins anymore. And like Tasaka said, we need to find a place where we can all lie and wait for Berserker. But before that... Again, unfortunately... Like, being worried about Tasaka doesn't exactly fall in line with what I'm thinking. Not at least in this run, but Saber makes the most sense here, so I'm going to go with that. I wonder if Saber's really okay. She says she has no problems fighting, but wouldn't it be hard for her to go up against Berserker when she's so weak? Or am I supposed to be more concerned about her noble phantasm? That's what Saber said. That means Saber will disappear the instant she uses that attack. Saber. Before we go out to fight, can you promise me one thing? Okay, well, yeah. I don't want you to use your noble phantasm, no matter what happens. It's important, and I don't want you to die, even if it means we defeat Berserker. Hey, at least she understood that point. She's as direct as ever. It's a relief to hear. Okay, yeah. That's the Saber that I know. It's good to hear you being so insanely calm. Nothing. Nothing at all. Let's just get going. Tasaka will get upset again if we keep her waiting.
そうですね。リンはシローに文句を言うのが趣味のようですから。
And with that kind of weird observation, Saber turns to leave the ruins. But then, she trips on a chunk of rubble and stumbles forward. I quickly grab her hand from behind. Come on, watch your step. You'll need to be careful in this mess. Huh? Saber seems to be blushing. Saber, what's wrong? Did something happen?
いえ、そういうわけではないのですが、手を握られていると、
Saber's face turns a deep crimson. She must look like I did a few minutes ago. Ah, I find myself blushing too now. With her hand in mine, I suddenly remember the sensations I felt with Saber, and quickly pull my hand back. The two of us stand rigidly, saying nothing. Let's head out. We better get moving. We don't have much time.
そうですね。急ぎましょう、シロ。
We head out after that bit of awkwardness. Once we're outside, we'll never come back here. I look back towards the ruins for the last time. Then I turn back to the battlefield. We reach a clearing in the forest. The sun is rising and a white layer of morning mist blankets the forest. Compared to the much denser forest around us, this is a good vantage point. Tasaka, this place doesn't seem bad.
そうね。条件はいくらかクリアしてるけど、見晴らしが良すぎるのがどうもね。これじゃあ私はともかくセイバーとシローの逃げ道がないもの。
Tasaka is such a perfectionist. If she's even considering escape routes.
他を渡りましょう。大丈夫。まだ時間はあるわ。
Tasaka returns to the forest. But Saber stands motionless, staring off into the distance.
セイバー、何してるのよ。早くしないとイリアスフィールに。
A chill runs up my spine. I could never forget this feeling. I can't see him or feel his presence, but the sudden weight of the air pressing down me around me is definitely coming from him. Ilya's voice echoes from somewhere in the forest, beyond the mist. From deeper in the forest, a dark figure approaches. Good, at least we're not mincing words. Maybe it's because we're in the clearing and open view of the sky. But it feels like Illya is peeking down at us from up in the clouds.
やば、あいつもうシロを見つけたの？まずい、ここじゃ視界が広すぎる。何よこのスピード。これじゃあ2分かからない。ちょっと何のんびりしてるのよ2人とも。ここじゃまずいって言ってるでしょ。早く場所を変えないと。
Tasaka grabs our hands, but it's too late. No, this is fine, Tasaka. We're lucky enough that three of us are able to fight together. We can't ask for anything more.
バカ、それがまずいんだってば。ここじゃ横幅がありすぎるの。セイバーだけじゃバーサーカーを止められないし、いくら離れてたってあんたも前に入っちゃうじゃない。
I know you're concerned for me, but we're all in danger here. Besides, we can't escape now anyway.
それはそうだけど。
Are you ready, Saber? We're fighting Berserker here. Saber nods quietly.
わかったわよ。簡単にやられたら怒るからね。
Tasaka, apparently convinced, disappears into the mist. Once she goes into action, she acts quickly. She darts into the forest and then scrambles up a tree. They're coming. Saber, are you ready?
あなたも。戦いが始まったら決してここから前には出ないように。何があろうと バーサーカーをここには近づけさせません。
The mist wavers. Out of the morning fog, a dark shadow spreads across the clearing. A mad warrior, led by a pale girl, steps into view.
意外ね。てっきり最後まで逃げ回るとばかり思ってたのに。それとももう観念したの、お兄ちゃん。
Illya's about 40 meters from me. We face each other from opposite ends of the clearing.
セイバーは治ったんだ。そっか。だから逃げ回るのはやめにしたのね。欲しいな。そんなことで私に勝てると思うのは可愛いんだけど。残念ね。シロはここで死ぬんだもの。
Her giggles echo in the forest. Apparently, that ticks her off. Saber's still standing beside me, is practically vibrating with animosity. She might launch herself forward at any moment.
もうつまんないな。ずいぶん無口になっちゃったのね。もしかして殺されるのは怖いの？そんなのもったいないよ。今命乞いをすれば私も許してあげないこともないんだから。
Tasaka's probably in position. She'll probably want to be as close to the center of the clearing as she can. There's a spot where the tree branches overlap. It should be sturdy enough to support her weight.
そう。あくまでそういう態度なんだ。なら、もうおしゃべりはここまでだね。リンとモドも殺してあげ。待ちなさい。リンはどうしたの？シロ。
I have to give it to Berserker's master. She knows better than to overlook any details. Tasaka's gone. We stopped working together a while ago.
別行動を取ったの？そっか。セイバーを連れてるシロは足手まといだものね。リン一人ならもっと遠くに逃げられる。
Well, there you go. She's probably out of the forest by now. I doubt you'll catch up to her even if you go after her right now.
そうかしら。この森はアインツベルンの結界よ。誰が入ってきて誰が出ていったかぐらいはわかるんだから。あれから外に出た人間は一人もいない。リンはまだ森にいるわ。探し出すのはこの後でも十分よ。
That's a huge bounded field. That's a relief. If Illya only detects who's going in and out of the forest, then she doesn't know where Tasaka is now. That and she believes my story pretty easily. Illya is a truly merciless master. But she is too merciless to have a chance to... but is she too merciless to have a chance to start over? Illya, before we fight, there's something I want to ask you. Would you consider quitting being a master and ending this battle?
できないよ。おじいさまの言いつけだもの。バーサーカーがいる限り、私はアインツベルンのマスターなの。イリアは他のマスターたちを殺して聖杯を持ち帰らなくちゃいけないんだから。それにもう一度だけ聞くのはこっちだよ。私はアインツベルンの同志だからあんな言葉二度は言わないわ。けどシローが答え直すって言うんならちゃんと聞いてあげてもいいんだよ。
She's really trying to push that quest off on me. She sounds almost hopeful, but as long as I have Saber with me, I can't agree with what she's asking. I mean, even in spite of Saber being with you, like, you can't agree with what she's asking. My answer is unchanged. I'm Saber's master. If you're not going to quit being a master, I'll defeat Berserker and make you quit. I look at both Illya and Berserker and say that. In that instant, the air of the clearing tenses with sharp, snapping sound.
そう。なら本気で殺してあげる。その思い上がりと一緒に粉々に砕いてあげるわ、シロー。
What the heck's that? There's some sort of inscription appearing on Ilya's face. No, it's not just her face. It's a huge command spell covering her entire body. And I can even see it at this distance. It's so much more massive than the other ones we have.
遊びは終わりよ。蹴散らしなさい。ヘラクレス。
Ilya's voice is completely lifeless. And in response, the giant behind her howls. Yeah, I understand that. His roar shakes the earth. He screams and thrashes like he's lost his mind. His abilities grow even more powerful, like his body is swelling with deformed masses.
そんな理性を奪っていただけで凶暴化させていなかったというのか。
I'm not surprised Saber is shuddering. Even I, who can't gauge the warrior's strength, can tell I shouldn't be getting anywhere near that monster.
行け。近寄る者はみんな殺しちゃえ。バーサーカー。
The air explodes. The giant bellows a roar so different from its anguished wail it leaps. Saber! A streak of silver surges forward in answer. Berserker lands in the middle of the clearing. The earth shakes. Saber intercepts Berserker as if stopping a falling meteor. It's like watching a mythical battle unfolding in front of me. In a forest shrouded by morning mist, the two shadows clash relentlessly. Berserker is simply overwhelming. Berserker's swipes are like whirlwinds. His downward strikes are like waterfalls. Even Saber wouldn't survive a direct hit. But Saber deflects his every attack without faltering or hesitating. She swipes aside the barrage of strikes raining on her like a raging storm. To fail would mean being cut down on the spot. To Saber, each of the rapid blows seems like a strike her opponent's full might. The clash of swords echoes around the clearing. Berserker is a greater reach. Berserker is faster. Berserker has more stamina. All Saber can do is parry the titanic surges of wind from Berserker's swings to mitigate the sheer strength. All just to avoid being cut in half. Berserker is like a broken jackhammer. His blade spins in all directions, annihilating everything in its path. It's just getting a reach that could only be fatal. There would be no hope of escape. They'd get caught in the whirling blade and ground to dust. No normal human would have a chance against that. And if getting close can only mean death, then the only option is fleeing. But Saber steps into the whirlwind and doesn't retreat. She'll be shredded to pieces. The sword sparks off of her, slowly chipping her armor away. Landing in the middle of that vortex, she could be dead in a heartbeat. I can only hold my breath. In ancient times, heroes who fought dragons and demonic beasts must have all been like this, like her. They know perfectly well how vast the gap in strength between them is. but they bet everything on 1 in a million shot. A seething mass of violence beyond anything humans are capable of. They just defended until a single opportunity presented itself. Many warriors died without ever seeing the miracle they were waiting for. That's exactly what this battle is. It is a glamorous, eye-catching battle, but it only ends one way, with Saber's defeat. Each blow chips away a little more at her. Berserker's roar shakes the ground. The sheer whirlwind of his frenzy churns up the atmosphere and sends Saber flying as she tries to defend. Every time Berserker's attack chips away at a bit of Saber's armor, she's thrown to the ground. But instead of remaining down on her knees, Saber charges right back at Berserker every time. But she's at her limit. Saber's breathing is labored and her movements are visibly slowing. There won't be any opening. In a few moments, Berserker's titanic weapon will shatter Saber's sword. I grip the bow I made. I'm going to. I can't just say, what will that do now? I have to do something. Provide backup with my bow. The moment Saber goes flying, I fire at Berserker. This won't hurt him, but it should at least get his attention. The arrow hits Berserker squarely on the temple, but it doesn't seem to leave a scratch. I can't even get his attention. The giant does not block the arrow. He doesn't even seem to care. That's right. Oh. Illya laughs. Ilya's laugh echoes through the forest. Damn. I can't do anything. Saber's about to collapse right in front of me, but I can't do anything. I'm powerless. No matter what I do, I can't hurt Berserker. And I'm just distracting Saber. The answer couldn't have been do nothing. A slash. Saber sinks into the ground, all the way to her ankles, as she parries a massive blow. The parrying blade is swift, but heavy. The axe sword strikes down from overhead. A brutally powerful weapon grazes Saber's armor as she dodges, then tears up the earth itself. My jaw is clenched so hard my teeth could well shatter. Is there nothing I can do? I can't protect Saber. I can't fight alongside her. There's nothing I can do. All I can do is... Archer said something like that. Yeah, what was he saying again? It wasn't one of his typical snide remarks. What he said had weight and importance to it, and I needed to understand. Then again, probably everything he told me was a warning I shouldn't ignore. Saber goes flying. This time, it's not because she leapt away to evade. Berserker hit her this time. That hurricane slash strikes Saber on the side. She stumbles. Coughing violently, she grips her weapon tighter and turns back towards Berserker. The giant doesn't miss the opening Saber finally provides. Stop! My voice doesn't reach them. Shouting is useless, and trying to use the bow like Archer would be pointless. Don't I understand yet? What can I do? What should these hands of mine be doing? That's right. What do I need to save Saber? Can't use a bow. A spear won't pierce him. Having a weapon like that, like the enemies, is no solution either. To go up against this giant, a sword to cut through a mountain of stone, an opulence sharper than sharp that will never dull, a king's sword, able to cut down enemies in a single blow. Like that golden sword I saw in my dream, a sword fit for her. My head hurts. I try to fight down my nausea, but I never take my eyes off Saber. Strangely, the longer I watch Saber fall, the more this indecipherable pain assaults me. Saber and Berserker seem to be moving in slow motion. I see a row of switches line up. Saber coughs, and for a brief second she arches in pain. Berserker smashes his axe sword down toward her with all his might. It's as if there's a row of nails in need of hammering down. It's like he's knocking down dominoes. The switch flips. Saber! Berserker's axe sword cuts Saber down. She's going to die. The strike splits Saber in half at the waist, and pieces of her flesh go flying. No, that's not what's happening. The only thing that's gone flying is pieces of armor. Berserker's only split Saber's armor. Saber left herself open to bait Berserker into a single huge swing, and with every ounce of strength she has, she rushes at him. A black roar rips through the air, but he can't escape now. Saber's right in front of him. She shifts her grip on her sword and darts in closer, then swings with all her might. I don't believe this. Saber's attack hits home, and the giant, who seemed so immovable, flies back several meters. And then comes the true attack. She must intend to release the attack from as close as possible. Tasaka jumps down from a branch above and throws her jewels at Berserker as she falls. Shards of ice rain on Berserker. Among those shards are 3 giant spear-shaped icicles, each packing with enough magical energy to blow an entire mansion to smithereens. Illya, quiet until now, suddenly screams at her servant. She must have sensed the danger, but too late. The ice spears aren't falling. They're accelerating toward Berserker. He can't possibly dodge. A 1 in a million opportunity. Saber's desperate attack perfectly coordinated with the ice bullet attacks. It has more than enough magical energy to kill Berserker. However, the axe sword slices through the air. Even as Saber drives him back, he switches to a single-hand grip on his axe sword and shatters all 3 ice spears. Blood splatters the clearing. Maybe it's his one-armed swing, but he fails to completely destroy the ice, and when it strikes, it severs one of Berserker's arms. That's not all. The ice freezes over Berserker's arms, completely restraining it. But it only got one arm. Saber cries out. It's a reasonable response. Berserker catches Tasaka with his good arm as she falls. Tasaka's face twists in pain. Berserker will have no trouble crushing Tasaka with his hand. Tasaka! I run. I don't care if I drag them down. It doesn't matter if I can't do anything. I'm not going to let Tasaka die. Saber must be too weak to even stand, but somehow she gets to her feet. Tasaka must be in agonizing pain, but she stretches a hand out as she hangs her head downward. And then... she grins wickedly. Everyone gasps. Saber, me, even Berserker must have all frozen in our tracks. One person can only have so many tricks up their sleeve. She knew this might happen, hadn't even bothered to tell us. Berserker squeezes harder around her. He's a heartbeat too late. Four bullets of pure light streak towards Berserker. 4 bullets, 4 gems, 4 rapid shots, the most extreme close range. That has to be enough to end the dark Mad Warrior. Or rather, the attack perfectly, completely snuffs out his life. It must have blown Berserker's head clean off. The blood splatter even reaches me 10 meters from where Berserker stands. There's kind of a lot more than blood in the mess, but I don't think she overdid it. Our opponent was a monster. Berserker would have crushed Tasaka if she hadn't blown his head off. Phew. I slow my frantic run. Tasaka is still in Berserker's grip, but the battle's over. Berserker's face is hidden in the plume of smoke. From that singeing sound, it must have been a hell of an No way. I hear Tosaka's voice. Oh, okay. She said Toei. Got it. She's looking in the smoke in disbelief. Hold on. Am I imagining things? Did Berserker's hand tighten on Tosaka? Tosaka's staring in the plume of smoke. It doesn't last long. The smoke starts to dissipate. And in the clearing air, Berserker's face, the face that should have been blown off his body, appears. Tosaka cowers under that evil demon's gaze, at a loss for words. Laughter fills the air. Illya, who's remained on the far side of the clearing, laughs delightedly. She must have figured something out from what Illya just told her. Tosaka looks aghast, her face twisting in regret.
神明が分かった時点で思い当たるべきだった。ヘラクレスって言ったらヒドラの弓なのに、持ってるのはただの岩だった。だからこいつの宝具は物じゃないんだ。英雄ヘラクレスのシンボルはその。
そう、肉体そのものがヘラクレスの宝具なのよ。あなたも知っているでしょ、ヘラクレスの12の難行を。ギリシャの英雄ヘラクレスは己が罪を償うために12もの冒険を乗り越え、そのご褒美として不死になった。この意味、あなたならわかるでしょ。
命のストック、蘇生魔術の重ねがけ。
ええ、だからそいつは簡単には死ねないの。かつて自分が乗り越えた分の試練は生き延びてしまう神々にかけられた不死の呪い。それが私のバーサーカーの宝具、ゴッドハンドなんだから。
ゴッドハンド。
分かった？バーサーカーは今ので死んでしまったけど、あと5つの命があるの。
Yeah, I was about to say, like 6 times from Archer, he's still got 5.
欲しかったわね、リー。今のが5倍の宝石だったらバーサーカーは消えていたのに。
I can't hear Ilya's voice clearly. From the corner of my eye, I see Saber charging Berserker. Saber dashes over. Tosaka tries to pry open Berserker's fingers, but they won't budge. And then...
いいよ、バーサーカー。そいつ潰しちゃえ。
The burning eyes glare at Tosaka. Tosaka screams. Berserker's enormous fingers dig into Tosaka, trying to rip out her insides. There's only one outcome. Tosaka's lifeless body is being crushed to nothing. I run. I forget who I'm up against and even forget where I am. My mind is completely burned out. Saber cuts towards Berserker. Her invisible sword swings at Berserker's defenseless arm as if slicing through a radish. But it's no use. Saber's attack pings harmlessly off Berserker's arm. His grip on Tosaka doesn't loosen. Just moving must be agony for Saber. She swings her sword desperately, blood trickling from her mouth. She freezes the instant she sees me rushing at Berserker. Let go of her, you bastard! I slap mindlessly at his back with my bow. The giant is unfazed. He doesn't consider me a threat. My fingers are getting numb. What the hell is he? If I'm the one going numb from hitting him.
逃げてシロ。
Eh? I look up when I hear Saber. In that instant, I go flying through the air like a leaf. I hit the ground and tumble like that, like a bit of a stray garbage. Berserker smacked me away with that frozen sword. I try to block the attack with my bow, but it shatters instantly, and I'm thrown so far away. Gah! I writhe in pain. That breaking sound hadn't come from the bow. One of my arms is bent the wrong angle in the wrong spot. When I breathe in, my lungs hurt so bad I want to puke them up. Ugh. I can't breathe properly with all the blood flooding my mouth. But that doesn't matter. Breathing will just make me pass out. Better than I not breathe. I wake up. Right now I need to get to him. Him. I run. It's my turn. I'm going to break his arm and save Tasaka. He must have eyes on the back of his head. He swings his sword casually like he's batting aside a fly. I can dodge it. I won't let an arm that's completely frozen hit me so easily. Damn, my body's sinking. He must have grazed my leg. Damn him. He didn't even touch my leg, but somehow managed to break it anyway.
バカな。もういい。離れなさい、マスター。
I can't do that. I can't let Tasaka die. What do I need to do to save her? A weapon, a blade would be best. At my feet, broken into pieces of bow. Above me, Berserker's sword swinging right at me. There's no time to think. I let magical energy flow through me. The strengthening succeeds easily, but down comes Berserker's sword. The fragments are finally pulverized. I meant to dodge, but instead my arm slams to the ground. Clearly, there's no point in strengthening broken shards. I'll have to do this from scratch. It shouldn't be possible. Anyone can imitate as long as they have an example to follow. I just need to duplicate the foundation, structure, work, experience, time, and... The giant turns around. It must have decided to kill the little nuisance before finishing Tasaka off. I push up from the ground and glare at the giant. There's no fear. I'm too burned out for fear. But behind me... I see someone preparing to disappear. I see someone determined to use a sacred sword. So I'm going to tell her don't use it. But I think that's the bad idea. Wind peels back from the blade. The golden sword begins to reveal itself in Saber's hands. I told her not to use it. The sword I told her never to use, no matter what. I snap. The last thread that had been holding me together finally gives. Don't use it, Saber! My left hand burns. A command spell stroke disappears.
どうして。もうこれしかないではないですか、シロ。
I don't care. To hell with that. All I know is that if she uses it, she'll disappear. You're already on your last legs just from unleashing your sword. You can't use it right now. Just hold on. If you can't use your sword, I'll make one you can use. Okay, that was the good call. I wanted to make sure that was the best call. It's so obvious. It's the only thing I can do. I have to make it. I have to make something that won't lose. I have to imagine the strongest weapon. I have to imagine the ultimate imitation. It has to fool everyone, even me. It shouldn't be that hard. It's not something impossible. Since the beginning, my body... has been a specialized magic circuit for this purpose alone. Hup. I leap up. My entire body burns like it's on fire. My left hand is crimson. Saber's voice rings with a shocked disbelief. She's staring at the weapon in my hands, and that thing shouldn't exist. Oh, the sword seems to have been a will of its own. Oh. The golden blade moves as it's drawn to the giant's arm. It slashes at him, tearing through the arm. Sokka falls to the ground along with the arm that had been holding her. The golden sword shatters as if it's been made of glass. My blood begins to flow backward. It doesn't matter. The sword broke. That's impossible. If I imitated that sword, it shouldn't have shattered like that. It shattered because it wasn't sufficient. My image of the sword wasn't enough. But I did freeze to Sokka. Berserker's furious gaze turns towards me. His massive sword swings up at me. This time, he's determined to cut me in half. It doesn't matter. Berserker, you're not my enemy right now. I'm only fighting against one person right now. The last one wasn't perfect. My image of it was flawed. So the sword that should have been invincible broke. If I'm to duplicate things, I need to work on not just their shape, but also their maker. I hear the others holding their breath. In front of me, I see the axe sword rushing toward me like an oncoming storm, and the half-formed sword ready to block it. In desperation, I try to use the sword to block the incoming blade, but that doesn't matter to me. Right now, I need to finish the blade and make it real. Another mistake. You're not fit for fighting, Illya. Your battle is supposed to be a mental one, a fight against your own self. You don't have to remind me. What I need to do is simple. Projection. Start. I concentrate. I'm challenging my own self. There can be neither deviation nor compromise. Ah! Determining creation ideology. Anticipating base essence. Duplicating material structure. Replicating the forger's skill. Resonating with the possessor's experience. Imitating the uncountable years. And surpassing every manufacturing process. Ah! I slush. Illusion shall bind with reality to forge a sword. And somehow my arm is no longer broken. Oh. The giant roars. My sword deflects the countless gusts assailing me from the enemy's furious attacks. But that's about it. I'm knocked away from him. The moment I come to, the sword leaves everything to me. The attacks I blocked so easily a moment ago now toss me around effortlessly. I can't feel my arms. The skin on my wrist is blistered and red. I'm surprised that I can even grip my sword. My legs do not work. I can only imagine every muscle shredded to ribbons. I can't get up. I made a sword that surpasses Berserker. But that's all. I'm just the one who made it. I can't wield the sword I worked so hard to make. A shadow looms over me. He must know who he has to kill first now. I rush away and Berserker rushes after me like a gust of wind. His enormous sword swings towards me. But it is deflected. Eh? In complete disbelief, I realize another hand is crossed around my own. The air splits around me. The giant attacks with all his might, trying to destroy everything around him. But right before that happens... She's so close, I can hear her voice over the din. If Berserker is the Stormfront coming to attack me, Saber is the gale rushing to my side. Saber sprints over to me and twists around, gripping me firmly. The rock sword shatters. The golden flash explodes through the giant's axe sword and continues ahead, slicing through Berserker's rock-like body without slowing. Maybe I copied the form so well that I copied some of its abilities too. The golden sword lodges deep in Berserker's body and glows so brilliantly, and light pours from the giant's body. And then in an instant, the light fades and the forest falls silent. All the strength flees my limbs. The heat that had been surging me rapidly cools. There we go. The sword I made begins to disappear. I watch it vacantly. Saber and I remain together, holding the sword in our hands until it disappeared completely. Wind sweeps through the clearing. The earth-shaking howl and the blade that had churned up the very air are gone. The previously invincible giant, now immobile, looks to the knight who defeated him and speaks in a low, rumbling voice. Which is funny because everybody thinks it's Excalibur, but Caliburn is a completely different sword. Because Excalibur was given by the Lady of the Lake. Caliburn was the sword in the stone. Saber nods quietly. Berserker's chest opens up. He begins to dissolve. His body begins to crumble like wet sand, beginning where the sword pierced him and rapidly expanding outward. And again, there's a little bit of tomfoolery with the story, where it's like, oh yeah, that blade killed me 7 times in one hit. It's just like, okay, sure. His dying words are spoken without emotion. The mad warrior keeps his role until the very end, and fades away in dispersing haze into the misty morning air. Dizziness rocks me where I stand. This is probably the price for such an extensive use of magecraft. The blood that rages through me has put pressure on my brain, sending far too much oxygen out to the rest of my body. My head feels like it could split open. The enemy has disappeared, and whatever was numbing the pain earlier has faded. It is as if to make me pay the accumulated toll for this incredible battle. The dizziness and headache crash into me like twin meteors. I'm about to collapse, but Saber supports me. Saber shouldn't have the energy for that either at this point. No, I'm fine. I've got a few broken bones, but nothing fatal. I've got that healing thing, and it's already kicking in, so I'll be fine. But there's someone I have to talk to first. Leave her be. Saber stands ready. Illya stares where Berserker had been standing, her eyes hollow. No, Saber, don't hurt Illya. Without Berserker, she's... I stop Saber with the last remaining strength I have. Illya doesn't even seem to notice we're here. She just stares at the ground. Yes, he did. She sounds like an abandoned child. Illya. Illya lifts her head absent-mindedly. It happens suddenly. Illya collapses like a puppet with its strings cut. What? I don't know what happened. I just stare at Illya where she lies. And at almost the same moment, Tasaka raises her hand. She's freed now that Berserker's arms disappeared. I must have loosened up the moment I learned Tasaka was safe. My vision blurs and I can feel my body trying to pass out. I can't show that kind of weakness. We may have defeated Berserker, but we're still in the forest. Weary as we are, we have to force ourselves to get out of the forest. I look up at the sky as it begins to lighten. The town is a very long way away. All my allies are wounded and every single inch of me hurts. And yet, morning has come. We survived a night I was prepared not to. After defeating our greatest enemy, we leave the winter forest. So the question is, I feel like this is a good stopping point. We lost Ryder the other day, Archer before, and now Berserker. Saber's still around, Lancer's still around, Assassin's still around. Let me see, Archer, Saber. So, Lancer, Saber, Assassin, and Caster are still around. So those are the four remaining, because we've lost 3. So we still have plenty of I mean, technically it was already February 12th, but we're just going to go with that. Infinity Arms. And again, true name, Altria. King Arthur, the legendary hero of England, was immortalized the once and future king. He is a hero so widely known and an icon of chivalry. However, he's not just a legend, but also someone who is said to have actually existed. In the earliest chronicles, the real King Arthur is called Dux Bellerum, the King of War, a great general who led the 12 kings of northern England, the Godwin, against other tribes like the Picts and Scots. There are several theories about the identity of this great general, and some say the king may correspond with 2 different historical figures. One is Arthur, the Briton. The other is Artorius, the Roman. The accomplishments of both have been synthesized into the legend of King Arthur, still famous to this day. Arthur became a king after drawing a sword upon whose blade Merlin the mage had inscribed the words, "The one who pulls the sword from the stone is the King of England." From there, countless stories unfolded about King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table. He was born of a tryst between Uther Pendragon, King of the Britons, and a blue-eyed Ingrain, wife of the Duke of Cornwall. Paying the price for pursuing his love, King Uther enlisted the help of Merlin, entrusting the mage with a child born between himself and Ingrain. Vowing to rescue Arthur, who carried a great destiny, from the royal crisis and guide him into the correct path, Merlin placed him in the care of Sir Ector, Uther's loyal knight. Ector adopted Arthur as his own son, raising him until the day he drew his sword of appointment. The trials and travails that awaited Arthur after pulling the sword to becoming king would later reveal the tapestries of history, becoming a grand narrative that represents our chivalry in the Middle Ages. King Arthur's accomplishments while reigning over Camelot, the White City, and saving England alongside his many great knights cemented him as a hero. His famous sword, Excalibur, is not the sword of appointment. It is the sacred sword that Arthur received from the Lady of the Lake. We've already been over this. So the Lady of the Lake gave Excalibur under Merlin's guidance after the sword of appointment was lost. So Caliburn was lost. The Lady of the Lake, Vivian, became Arthur's fairy guardian after bestowing him with Excalibur. Morgan Le Fay, Arthur's lifelong nemesis, exists as a guardian fairy, Vivian's obverse. However, as a fairy of the lake herself, she was sworn to protect the King Arthur, the king. King Arthur commanded that his knights of the Round Table seek out the Holy Grail. The search of the Holy Grail is central to Arthurian legend, but ultimately only 3 knights were dispatched, and Arthur himself did not journey with them. The peerless knight Lancelot could not reach the Grail due to the stain of infidelity in his heart. His son Galahad was able to obtain the Grail, but chose to relinquish it. In the end, the legend closes with King Arthur's death. Arthur's life is punctuated with clashes with Morgan, his half-sister from a different father, as she attempted to kill him many times. His legend is ended as a bitter conflict with Mordred, the knight who was born from Morgan's orchestrations. King Arthur's fall begins when his most trusted knight Lancelot disappears after dishonoring himself by adultering with the king's wife Guinevere. Losing his trusted companion, his holy scabbard, and even control of his kingdom over the course of his final journey, King Arthur sees his final battle in Camlan. On the verge of his death, he entrusts Excalibur to Sir Bedivere, who returns it to the Lady of the Lake. King Arthur's body is transferred to the Ladies of the Lake and to Avalon, the land where heroes sleep. It was then foretold that in England's hour of great need, King Arthur would awaken from his slumber and save his country once again. Arthur carries the red dragon, symbol of the Britons, on his back, and he himself also bears the dragon attribute because he carries the attribute of a dragon, a creature that is an embodiment of mystics and predominance. He has a powerful magical energy characteristic. However, he is not matched against servants who have a background in dragon slaying. So if they are dragon slayers themselves, not a good match. Raised as a stock of 11. In other words, Berserker will not disappear unless he's defeated 12 times. Okay. Do we have a skill sheet for everybody here? Yeah, his constitution and magic are terrible. Okay. So we'll call it there. But Berserker is now gone. We have 4 remaining heroic spirits. So with that in mind, we're doing pretty good. But yeah, so we. What about we? Anyway, but yeah, we'll call it there. We'll go over the wrap-up situation. Oui is just yes in French. Well, I mean, if you spell it correctly, it is OUI. But yes, you are correct. It is oui in French. But yeah, like it's interesting that they tell the proper like narrative for King Arthur, even though what they're insinuating is that Altria is Arthur. They just novelized him as king when she was actually a she in this sort of variant. But I guess that's just what they did for the legend for her sake, which is fine. And like the fact that they knew like the difference between Caliburn and Excalibur is wild to me because nobody talks about the Sword and the Stone being Caliburn unless you're like either historian or you're trying to be accurate like a smartass, or you didn't watch the Disney movie and just assumed that the Sword and the Stone was Excalibur. And the fact that she has two swords and that the Caliburn is the better of the two swords, which again should be technically true, like that's wild. That is insanely wild. Again, not saying that Excalibur is bad. Excalibur is perfectly good. But Caliburn is literally like, I will cut through anything without issue. Butter, knife, meat heated knife, you know? And honestly, I never understood, like I think watching the anime, because I think he does do this in the anime. I never understood what he was making as a sword in the anime, because they didn't explain it properly. At least in the fan dubbing. So I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, she already has Excalibur, but like the fact that I now know that it's Caliburn, and I'm like, that does track. That does follow. And anybody who's not nerdy enough to know their historical mythical weapons is probably thinking, what the fuck is he talking about? But it's fine. But yeah, Caliburn, sick weapon. Sick weapon. Very cool weapon. Hey, I got my payout from Twitch. That was sick. But Slush, since I've got you here anyway, you know the legend of King Arthur and the Sword and the Stone and all that sort of stuff. Have you ever seen the movie from Disney or read any of the books or anything like that? No. So you know nothing about King Arthur. Is that what you're telling me? I think that's fair in this day and age, but like that's still surprising to me that you don't know. So that's fine. But yeah. But yes. The idea that they're trying to give off is that Saber, our Saber, the summoned hero that we have, is King Arthur, although she's actually called Altria. Like, historical records / stories about her just call her King Arthur because she represented herself as King Arthur. Or Artorius, depending. Collect eggs? Collect eggs in what? I see. All right. Anyway, I'm calling it there. Exclamation mark socials. Join the social if you haven't already. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Thank you for enjoying all that fun stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your knowledge about Caliburn and Excalibur and the Lady of the Lake and Merlin, or all of the above. So anyway, I will see you all later. Blah.